Welcome back, E4 Pipe Dreams. My boy C-Dog got on the big bird, flew into Florida, into Mi Casa. That's Spanish for everybody. Yeah, we've got a pretty good guest here. I'm pretty stoked about. We're in Florida for Daytona Supercross. I race next week, and this guy came in. We decided that we were going to do something and try to get a couple flat trackers on. So this new guest we've got is pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about it. He's a two-time champ. He's kind of a jack of all trades right now. He's the Moto America Mini Cup manager. He's the manager of, or team manager for First Impressions Racing. He's won 20 times in Production Twins, or 19 in Production Twins.
Husband, dad.
Jackie Moon style. So, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. We got Cory Texter, the Bear, on today.
Hype me up, man. I like it.
Yeah, no worries. Cory, first, how was the flight? Oh, shit. Alexander. We got two Corys.
I don't fly, bro. I haven't flown in 20 years, so definitely that cool.
Flying down was good. It was good. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I came pretty much straight from Chuckwalla straight to here. So, but happy to be here for Bike Week and see some hogs running around and some old ladies on the back and get together with the other C-Dog.
I love it.
Yeah.
Razzles.
Yeah.
It's the best. Bike Week. Like coming down here as a kid, there was nothing like getting out of the truck at like a rest stop and just feeling like the warm air and bikes all going down. It's like, dude, it's on.
The token Waffle House.
Yeah, it's on.
I feel like you guys pretty much live in Bike Week permanently now, though.
It's changed the vibe a little, right?
Yeah.
For you too?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really go down there. I haven't been down to really Bike Week and like Main Street since 2018 with Richie Morris. Like, yeah, we haven't.
Ricky.
What a time.
Tony Stark.
What have you been up to, Cory? Tell us what's going on? Retirement.
Yeah, everything, man. Like James said, just you're like talking about all the jobs, and it was stressing me out just hearing all the jobs. But no, it's been good. Just been really busy. Way more busy than I thought I'd be. Retired. It really never stopped. So, just doing the Mini Cup manager thing for Moto America. That's kept me really busy. All the Ovale questions I get daily.
All the dads calling you up.
Yeah, asking me tech questions about these Ovales. I'm like, dude, I've never even sat on one. Like,
wasn't there there's a big thing like 2 years ago about tires, right? When those things first started coming over, like they couldn't get the Dunlop, so then everyone was like getting them in from Europe and like putting them in their luggage and bringing them over, and like everyone was like freaking out about tires.
I didn't know what I stepped into with the Ovales. Like, it's a big deal for these parents and stuff, which is cool. It's really cool. But yeah, it came in like a little unexpected with that, but. And then the First Impressions team manager gig, and I got Chad Cose as my rider. He's a lot of work, dude.
He's down to Razzles every night.
Literally, I've got like an entire section of Chad here. Like, dude, how are you gonna rein that guy in?
Yeah. So
I mean, he's arguably got some of the most natural talent we've seen.
Oh yeah, Chad's great, man. That's my guy, but he's so frustrating. It's like another kid that I have. So that's been a full-time gig. And then actually I rider coach Trent Lowe. He's on the Turner Racing Honda team. He lives with me all winter. And rider coach Trent. And then I have another kid I help out, Evan Renshaw. He's a 15-year-old amateur kid who I train, and he lives with us too. And then my little guy, my wife, and
how many bedrooms you got over there?
We got 3, but the boys got bunk beds, so they bunk up. And yeah, it's
so many activities.
It's been cool, man. I've been riding like a lot. Like I've been riding probably 2-3 times a week and training with the boys and, Briar and James and Max and Cody. So it honestly doesn't feel any different for me from that standpoint. Like if I'm going into the season to race, it's just not signed up. So
I think honestly, like you've done it right. You've gone into more work. Like you don't get that low of being retired, that kind of like depression that people talk about when they get retired and there's nothing to do. They don't really have an out, or, you can... I mean, when like kind of Sammy, when he got hurt, everyone was kind of thinking, oh, maybe he might retire, but he's kind of coming back. He's in that limbo. I think that's the hard part. You seem to seamlessly got into enough work where you can't stop. And I mean, you could probably show up to a race now and still be fully ready because you're riding so much.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of that is good. Part of it's hard for me, like just wondering, especially now that they combine the classes. Like I just would like to know maybe where I stack up, because it's been so long since I've raced that premier class. Like I've done the production for so long, but I feel like the last 4 years I've really grown as a rider. So part of me would like to go and see, but at the end of the day, like I also like I don't need to. For me also, like I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but it just got to be just really like I was burnt out. So, but no, I feel good. Like if I had to go up and line up, I feel good. Like I don't feel any worse. I actually feel better this off season than last off season. Yeah, just not racing. It's really weird. So it's been good to keep riding, but I think as Daytona comes, the media days and the test day and the race, and I'm not suiting up. I'm just standing there watching the boys suit up. It's going to be a little bittersweet and tough for me. I've been struggling with it more the last week or so, just as we're getting closer. It's tough. I'm not going to lie, dude. It's tough, but like I just don't want to race forever. So it's one of them things.
What kind of led? I mean, you do like a ton of other stuff, obviously, so it's a little bit easier than it is probably for some guys who don't have any other things going on. But what kind of led to making that decision?
Honestly, I was set on making it 2 years ago. So after I won the championship, I was like, all right, well, there's other stuff I want to do. My wife, she deserves more, like more of my time and my son cruise. And I was like, man, I've done like all I've wanted to do. Like for me, like I'm happy with this. And I won the championship, and then I just didn't make the decision. Like I sat around, and sponsors called me up. Hey, we're getting for next year. I'm like, all right, well, I'll take that check. Like I need that. And then more sponsors came in. Hey, we're back on board. I'm like, well, shit, I guess I'm racing again. Like before I can make that decision, in racing, everything is you just keep going. It just keeps going. The next year, it's, you guys know, like it just turnkey. You've done it your whole life. Why change it? So I waited, and then then I got committed to last year, 2022, and before the season started, I talked to my wife. I didn't even talk to my mom or anybody. Like I made the call, and I just posted that I wanted that accountability for me. Like, hey, this is my last year. So it kind of puts that accountability on me. Like I'm done. So yeah, I posted that and tried to enjoy the last year. Like I said, I was burnt out, man. I've done this my whole life, and it hasn't come easy for me. Like it's been a grind to be where I got to get where where I'm at, and then obviously the injuries in the sport. Like I've been pretty good with my injuries, thankfully. But like losing Ryan Varnes, man, that was like so hard for me, and it was like it just solidified my decision. And like racing, obviously it's dangerous, but when and we have a lot of friends and people we know, but like somebody that close to me, that was tough. It really like shook me up, like to be out on the track with him when that happened, man. And it was like, dude, this is like, it's not worth it. Like, so, yeah, it's just, when I made that decision, I was a little hesitant. And then as the year progressed, I was like, man, I made a good call. But now it's a week before Daytona, and I'm like, shit.
You're missing it.
Well, yeah. I think as well, like you talk about that, we've raced and it takes so long to get to the top, right? Like, I mean, I think all of us here have really worked hard to get to the top. Like it's never been really given to either of us. And you get there and you don't want it to stop. And do you think as well, the changing of the class, I mean, that didn't happen before you made your decision. But
no, yeah, and that's like I wanted to make the decision. I mean, I heard rumors about it, but they also said they were going to do it the year prior, and I heard rumors about it. But I wanted to make that call before that change was made or wasn't made, so it didn't influence my decision. Part of me like wanted the class to stay in, like as I was doing it, because I'm making a lot of making good money. I'm not going to lie, like being a top, my deals were in production twins. It would shock people like what I was making money wise. Like, dude, I had good deals in line. Like I bet I was making as much as the guy that was finishing second in Super Twins. Like I was making good money. But part of me too, like I like to compete and I like to race the good guys. And I never really got to show like what I was capable of in that class when I was in it. I just wasn't the same rider. So part of me wants to just see like, what could I do consistently in that class? So there was, pros and cons to that, but I didn't want that to influence what I was going to decide. So I just like decided, I'm like, it is what it is. Just gonna make that call. I mean, I'm not young either. I'm 35. So people are like, man, you're so young.
21.
I'm 35. They're like, oh, I thought you were way younger. I'm like, hell no, dude. I was like, I raced with Rich King and like George Roeder. Like, dude, I'm fucking old. So,
Bubba Schobert.
yeah, dude.
Do you think like if you got a call, like, you know, Factory Indian is not really the same anymore, but like if they had called you last year midway through the year, would that have like changed your mind if you had the opportunity to like, we want to put you on?
I ain't getting a call, dude. I've never got calls, man. Even like in 2021 when I won, like I had a really good year in production twins. Like I felt good. And then, but I never get those calls. But if I got the call, nah, dude, it wouldn't influence me at all. Cause like going into Daytona this year, the bikes I was riding, the G&G racing bikes, they're good at that track. Yeah. If there was a track I think I could go and line up for and possibly win my first premier class race, it'd be like in a week. So, you know, it'd be cool to be on a factory team in general. I've never like been on a factory team or anything like that. So the opportunity would have been like tasty, but nah, man. I mean, I'm happy with where I've been.
Yeah.
And,
is it, you said you were doing pretty well racing, which makes it a little bit, I guess, probably harder to walk away from. I know you do a lot of other stuff, obviously, that, you know, you're hustling all the time. Is that a little bit scary, kind of like you are young in the reality of like career-wise to retire? So like when I think of retiring at 35, I'm like, fuck, you know, I had to have made a ton of money and like, you know, you think like Supercross style.
Yeah, and I didn't make any money in racing until like the last 4 or 5 years. I spent a lot. Like I just said, it'll pay off. And then like, dude, I'm 25. It'll pay off. I'm 28. It'll pay off. You know, it's like, I didn't start making money in racing till I was in my 30s. Yeah. So it was nice getting those checks in the mail. It made me want to work harder to get more. It's like, but for me, like I've always felt confident in my ability to wing it, that I wasn't stressed about finances really. There's a lot of other things that I do. I actually feel for the racers that don't have anything else going for them. It's harder because a lot of racers would probably hang it up sooner, just with the risk and their injuries, but they don't have anything else. Like they don't have that backup plan. So yeah, I mean, I got a college degree. Like I did some things that kind of set myself up, but I did that like in my mid-20s because I wasn't good at racing. Like I never thought I'd make money racing. The fact that I made some money racing the last 4 years, it's been a bonus. Like I always figured I wouldn't because I never did. Yeah. So I was always making money. I did things like I was good at the marketing thing. I did everything so I could be a racer. Like that was my hobby. The fact that I ended up making money, like I said, it's just it was cool to do, but it didn't overly stress me out. Like it's I guess when the checks start, like the bonus checks are nice. Like when you win a race and you get bonuses coming in, that's sick. Yeah. Like it's really cool to get. And once I stop getting those, maybe it'll be like, damn.
Yeah, no, I think about that. I mean, cause like right now I'm not working at all. You know what I mean? In the last like 2 years, I really haven't done anything else to make a living other than doing pretty well. Kind of the same boat. Like I feel like me and you have had kind of the similar last couple of years. And, you know, I look like at like my chick at home, like she's got a steady paycheck and she's got to like put in the hours and all this stuff. And like, I'll just go do nothing for a couple of weeks and I'll go do well at a race and I'll make a good amount of money to where like I can keep doing that. But then it's like, I imagine like stopping that. And that for me is kind of like, well, how else am I going to make that lump sum of money that quickly? Yeah. Otherwise, you know, it's a little bit.
But you have backup plans too. Like
I mean, I think that's kind of like how we've always related is like, we both have some other stuff. It's something we talked with Johnny about too. Just, you know, he's not doing some of the same stuff you're doing, but he's set himself up with other ways with the school thing. And we talked about how for a lot of racers, that's like now in flat track. And I think racing in general is kind of on a little bit of a downturn after the last couple of years. But he was talking about how he's in this position where he's looking at these other guys and they're facing the reality of like getting off the gravy train after the last couple of years.
He does a good job with it too. Like he's a hustler and he stays busy. And I think that's what racers need to do. Like, I mean, there's not a bad time to start doing other things. Like, and anybody can do it. Like with social media right now and YouTube and podcasts and, you know, vlogging, like, dude, get started. And that's one thing flat track needs to do better, man. Like these riders just don't get it. Like, and you know, oh, we need to get paid more. It's like, go get paid then. Like go go put the work in, go, you know, with social media, dude, people are making so much money just off vlogging, and we don't have enough of that in flat track. We have great riders that are just no one knows about. And flat track's such a cool sport to watch. Like on the right track, like you watch a clip from Lima, it could be some random 50-year-old guy getting it on. It's cool to watch, and we just don't have enough of that content to go about. So yeah, I think that's one thing riders can do is start doing other stuff. Like, you know, everyone feels bad. They feel sorry for themselves in flat track, and it's like, dude, like go work, go hustle.
It's kind of like a stigma of like racing for the G bar. Like, do you know what I mean?
G-bar
Like,
days, yeah.
it's kind of like a stigma. Like, get in a van, live out of your van, this, that, and it's like in my opinion, I think a lot of dirt trackers, especially young amateurs, I mean, some are breaking the mold now, but it's like they think that's the ceiling. Like,
Yeah.
you have to get a van, you got to travel in your van, like the old guys did. And it's like, it doesn't need to be like that. You can stay in hotels and you can,
Yeah.
like,
Well, it
have
just takes work. I mean, like these people that look at like I see these posts where it shows the pay structure in flat track, and it's like $1,500 to win. I'm like, dude, if you're relying just on that $1,500, you're done.
Yeah,
Dude, BSB, there's zero bonuses.
That's what I mean. MotoGP, they don't get paychecks, right? Like, so I mean, they don't get purse money.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly have no idea how GP works. I'm sure they're getting something,
Well,
and they all have bonuses in their contracts
I mean,
and that kind of stuff.
GPs, I think the teams get from the series.
Yeah, but like, don't let that be your only like.
Yeah.
No,
just
100%.
email people. When I like first started, I spent half a day every day emailing people. Like, dude, I was a pain in the ass. Like, I would just email, and I'd get.
I remember back in the day, dude, when you were like balancing your checkbook back in the day. Like, those are way back when you had the kicker deal.
For
Like,
the kids at home,
you-
what a checkbook is.
Like, seriously though, like you were pretty forefront with all of it, like getting kicker and stuff like that. Like, those are some outside the industry sponsors that I didn't think were really in dirt flat track or Muscle Milk.
Sour Punch straws.
Yeah, well, I was gonna bring that up later because that was probably the coolest sponsor.
Yeah.
I love
that-
Sour Punch straws. So
Dude.
I always was pretty jealous.
Same. I
I
thought
would have
that was-
taken no money, just boxes of
send
Sour
out
Punch
boxes,
straws.
dude.
Yeah.
But like that sort of like logo and to have that like
Brand
And I wasn't
nostalgia.
I wasn't that good. Like my results weren't great. Like for Sour Punch to be like, oh, this he's so fast right now, I'm gonna sponsor him. No, dude, it was like with the Sour Punch thing, I saw they were at the X Games. Flat Track just came back to just started the X Games, whatever, which was crazy. But Sour Punch was set up there, and I'm like, well, dude, if they're getting into action sports and we're new to this event, I'm just gonna hit them up. And I hit them up, and dude, I was getting $40,000 a year from Sour Punch, and like it was a pretty good chunk of money.
great.
And
nuts.
for a guy that was getting 16th in the points, bro, like so.
Yeah.
You just got to put those emails out there.
It's timing.
You'll probably get said no. Like people are like, yeah, I'm hitting up Coca-Cola to get sponsored. I'm like, bro, what are
You got to be a
doing?
little
Yeah.
realistic
But
too.
like look at where where the companies are advertising. Look at magazines and just
I always say that it's like you gotta. If you show up to a party by yourself, man, people look at you weird and like you shouldn't be here. But you show up with somebody who knows the owner and you're, you know what I
yeah.
mean. So like you gotta have some sort of in. I feel like people get discouraged when they're like sending emails out and they're like, hey, GE, they're gonna, and it's like they're a little big.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, hopefully it's not a little bit of a too personal, but I think it's interesting for kids that are coming up and whatnot to kind of know what the potential is. What would you say, like, when things are really good for you, how were you doing? Like, it's interesting for me to even hear that you're getting that much from a company like that. Just coming from road racing, like, people still don't even get that much money out of anything because they just don't have the ability to go out and sell themselves. But what is kind of like a realistic kind of number to make flat track racing at
Per year?
winning? Yeah, I mean, winning a championship for somebody like you that's obviously out there selling themselves and grinding.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You have to give
Hold on,
out an
hold
exact
on.
number. I
Pull
mean,
out my,
James
number
can chime in.
crunch.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a number crunch here?
Forms here.
Hey, what is that, Leroy Jenkins? Can I get a number crunch right now?
I mean, the biggest thing is if you can get, like for me in Production Twins, I'd reach out to the companies and like my first year with Bell, I signed with Bell right before my my first Production Twins year. And Chris Killen, he's a buddy of mine now, but he's like, my results weren't good prior to that. Like, so he was like, writing down my bonus structures.
Yeah, 50 grand to win.
yeah. Well, it wasn't that much.
You're gonna win.
He was like, yeah, so he was like, you should be able to finish top 10 in points, right? Like for production twins. I'm like, fuck, dude, if I don't do that, I'm done. But I'm like, yeah, I think I got a good shot. I don't know. I've never been top 10. So yeah, like it's just how you like structure those bonuses. So if you have a bunch of $1,000 bonuses to podium or win, or it starts to add up. So some of my wins, man, I mean, it was good. But if I'd get fourth, I'd make $300.
Yeah.
So for me, it was very podium heavy. If I win, it's awesome. But there's races where I got fourth and I didn't make shit. And that's why I think a lot of the races, you go back, watch Production Twins, you see me digging for the podium. Like I had a lot of podiums and like late race podiums because, dude, I the difference in like from third to fourth for me was probably $4,000. And I think I got like 5 or 6 fourths where like the drive home was bitter.
Yeah. Diapers are gonna be tough to buy that
diapers
week.
are tough. Yeah. So it was, I mean, it's out there. Like that stigma with flat trackers, like you said, like, everyone thinks you can't make money, but you can. And that's a bad mentality to have. It hurts the value of our sport. If you just think that you can't make money, then the companies aren't going to invest in the sport. So
yeah, it took me a while to learn that myself, even just like coming back these last couple of years road racing. I think when you start to like, Corey LaJoy always does it. NASCAR is like stacking pennies is like his thing.
Yeah.
But I think like if more racers thought about that mentality, like if you can get 10 people to give you 1,000, you got 10,000 all of a sudden.
Even
10 people
even
to do
$200, like a lower level guy, like go to a company, say, hey, if I get every top 10, will you give me $200? It's like, okay, it's not that much money, but if you get, 10 top 10s, do the math. Like, dude,
and the way you talk about it, like that Twins deal I did 4 rounds, dude, I sold it. I sold those 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Like that was it, and I didn't have nothing else. Like I was just like, I'm just going to throw something together. And I mean, I kind of fronted the VIR deal and job done. Like got on the podium, boom, hey, mission, hey, parts, hey. I'm like, hey, this is cool. Like I'm gonna be at the front guaranteed, or I'm gonna be absolutely launching myself into the air. Either way, you're gonna get some TV time. But like talk about a little bit, like we always used to talk about like double contingency, like trying to go to those sponsors that are already putting up some money and you got a relationship with them and just asking for a little bit more, for a little different. I mean, for me, it's so funny is just personally, like there's always a deal to be had.
Oh yeah.
There's always something you can do more for the sponsor to get a little bit, either a travel money or like, hey, can I get something? There's always something.
A lot of racers don't know that though.
Yeah.
Like double contingency would blow some racers' minds. It's like they post a contingency, that's what they expect to get. But it's very common for manufacturers to boost the contingency 2 or 3 up to depending on what you offer in that deal. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get. I mean, I've been at the grind for so long. Like I tell a story. There's a maple syrup that we use at home, me and Amber, and it's like expensive. Like it's an expensive maple syrup, and I'm like buying this maple syrup. I'm like, holy shit, this is expensive. So I reached out to the maple syrup company and just, hey, will you give us free maple syrup if we post on our story? And just random shit like my dog food. I tried to get sponsored by my dog food because it's so expensive. Like, dude, everything I buy, like I'm digging, like just for, I think the biggest thing is trying to, making money is great, but like cutting your expenses too. You're making money because you're cutting expenses.
I think a lot of people get, they go, oh, I got to make $100,000. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to do this. And I'm like, for me, I've always been under that. I'm like, if I can be 0, I know I can do well. Right. And then I can make my money. As long as I'm 0, I got to be 0. So like my whole goal is, all right, what's the house bill? What's this? What is all this? What's my expenses to get there? And then I just start chopping, changing, and.
Well, that's like the team I rode for, G&G. It's a father and a son, and like they don't have the means to like give me a salary. Everyone's like, man, you don't get a salary. How do you get paid? It's like, well, they cover everything. So what was really cool about LJ and John is they paid for everything I needed. They didn't give me a salary, but I didn't want to ask them for a salary. Like I'm not going to do that, put them in that spot. So, but they were really cool about giving me real estate on the bike. And we had a really cool dynamic where they gave me freedom to bring in my sponsors, but they also covered like everything I needed. So, yeah, without having those expenses and just bringing in the money that I've won, bonuses and stuff, it was good.
I think arguably fighting for leather logo placement is more than getting a small salary from a team. Like for me, that's my biggest years I've had is I fought for logo placement instead of taking money.
Yeah, I mean it all helps, honestly. So
yeah, how much as you retire, a lot of these sponsors I see like you kind of cross promote into other things you do with like the promotion stuff. Does it scare you a little bit retiring that you're going to lose a little bit of that because it's always kind of the thing is when you're not out there racing, you kind of lose that connection a little bit.
Yeah, and I've lost some sponsors already. Man, it's funny, dude. Like as soon as I thought, they hit me up. So you're retiring, I see. Like our deal's done. I'm like, holy cow, dude. It was literally like 2 weeks after I won the last race, like done. So it's cutthroat. Like some of them I've won championships for, and I've won a lot of races for, and I've had their logo and cycle news ads, and as soon as that's it. They're moving on to the next guy, and it's cutthroat. I'm not, I get it, but part of what I'm doing now is trying to give value to some of those sponsors, keep them on board, like because I promote races and I do my own podcasts and I have social media stuff and videos and stuff with crews, and so trying to sell that. Without they were like, what are you racing? I'm like, well, I'm doing like Timonium.
Timonium.
You know what I mean? Just like anything I can do at that transition to, and I think a lot of the companies, they're just naive to how big like the race, like my promotions are. And so if I can get them to my race promotions or get them to watch the podcast or listen to it, like trying to sell because it's uncommon for a top racer to like do other things like that.
Yeah.
So they just like think it's just like, oh, whatever. We don't, it's probably nothing, but it's like, dude, it's that part of what I do is I think it's really valuable. So
what got you into the promotion game? Because I know the Winter Throwdown Volume 1 was big. Yeah. I mean, that one was pretty big, stressful for you. I think you raced that one.
I did practice.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know. You cut it. You cut it pretty quick. And it was gnarly. Like it was good, but it was gnarly. Now, like, what got you into promoting? You've always been a really big promoter. I always say, like, dude, if you could have any motorcycle you post seems to sell in 2 days. Anything I post seems to sell in 2 years. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's like your name or what, but you've got a pretty good popularity or your history with the Harley shop. I don't know what it is, but what got you into the promotion side?
It's kind of funny. I never thought I'd promote a race, right? But I was going to all these amateur races, and I would just like. There's so much stuff that I didn't like enjoy about it, and I'm just like bitching. I'm like, dude, this could be this way, it could be that way. Let's
you bitching? What?
Yeah, dude, it's unheard of. But I'm like, you could do it this way, and I'm just like offering all these suggestions. But like, what the hell do I know? I've never promoted a race, so why would people take my input? And I was at a race. I'm not gonna say where it was, but it wasn't fun. And I was like, hey, if you did this and whatever, and the promoter's like, why don't you promote your own race? I was like, all right, fuck it. So,
hold my beer.
Yeah. So literally that was November. And the first Winter Throwdown was January. Like I went to work and I had, looking back at the first one, I don't know how the hell we did it because I didn't know what I was doing. It was like looking back now, it gives me anxieties that I just decided to do it. Cause dude, we were like, man, I was putting 18 guys in the main event. I had the people hand scoring. Like, I didn't realize how hard it was to score that many riders. I'm like, just score them. Like, I was so unorganized. But yeah, it was after that race and just building the hype around it. Like, I really want to save amateur flat track. Like, I'm coming to all these amateur flat track races with my son Cruz now, and I'm not trying to hammer. Like, it's really cool what the promoters are doing, but it's just like we need to up the ante on these amateur races because these families spend so much money and they sit around all day and there's just not much to race for. So I just wanted to create a good event that developed a lot of hype with it. But yeah, essentially I was talking smack and the promoters do your own race. And I was like, all right.
I mean, so. I think as well, like timing's everything. And I also, do you believe like kind of the fail forward deal? I mean, I know you've had kind of you've had some tough years, racing with the big guys as well as, with your dad and Shayna and doing that whole deal. Do you think the fail forward kind of deal works for you? or and I wouldn't say you failed on the first one, but I mean just jumping in. You know, I think a lot of people don't jump.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty like confident in my ability to wing it. Like if something goes down, like I'm gonna figure it out. So yeah, I was just like, I don't know how hard could it be, but it's hard. Like promoting races is hard to do it right. Like, and that's why these promoters, some of them fail. It's like, dude, they're not putting in the work. They think they're doing the work, but I know how long it takes me to prep for Winter Throwdown. It's 3 months of like every day I'm working, like trying to make it happen and be organized. And the biggest thing, like I'll just like say about the promoter thing is what frustrated me is the promoters, like a lot of them act like they're doing the racers a favor by promoting a race. And like, they're just like grumpy and like and for me, I look at promoting as like a customer service deal. Like, man, these people don't have to come to my race. Like they're taking off work. They're spending their hard-earned money. It's humbling. Like, dude, these people are like literally like spending thousands of dollars to travel and come to my race. And that like, it's really cool. So I try to like show that appreciation back. And I think that's lost in at least amateur flat track racing. Like you just don't see that, that appreciation. So I just try to really appreciate the riders and the families for coming.
I dig that. And I dig that you have so many cool awards. You have like mission, you have the tent, you've got like, you know, the banner across. It looks like a real race, you know, like what amateur race,
Jimmy.
No, but like you go to some of these. No, but like it's an event where there's
it's professional.
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I've often thought about road racing, like because like amateur road racing sucks.
Yeah,
it just
it's different,
literally sucks. But the overhead I think is probably the biggest thing. Like what does it cost roughly to rent like a flat track?
It's a lot. Like for part of it, like the ambulance alone, like my ambulance bill for Winter Throwdown is like $5,000. That's just the ambulance.
Well, so like I know that doesn't really change, like $1,400-$1,500 a day, but
yeah, it's
like
expensive.
to rent a road race track, you're spending $12,000 minimum.
Yeah, I mean, the rent has gone up at Winter Throwdown.
Yeah, I bet.
once
they saw you making some
Dave
money.
and Lisa saw me making some money because they didn't expect that either. Like nobody expected it because the first year was good, but it was only like 220 entries. But at the time, that was the biggest amateur flat track race in the country at 220 entries. Now we do 400 every day. I don't know if I wanted to get much bigger. It's
big.
It's big. And but the rent's gone up. But yeah, I mean, I think different promoters do it differently. Not everybody can, like a lot of races don't have ambulances. They just can't afford it. So they just have an EMT. It's a lot different in race, like the road races, like it's a different, but yeah, it's.
Would you say, is it above 8,000 a day?
To rent?
Yeah.
No, it's,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would be.
Yeah, that's expensive.
But you can go like call some of these tracks. Like I think Springfield, like the multi-purpose arena, it's where like Schnabel won all those races and Wiles and stuff. I want to say it's a few grand a day to rent it. And that's a really nice facility. So yeah, it's not the rent's there, but the other expenses are like the trophies this year were like, I forget. It was like $4,000 for the trophies. It's like the little things add up. Like
you don't want to give shitty trophies. Like
I give out number plates, like number 1 plates that we design and make them look cool. And dude, it's a lot of little things that add up. I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Like I said, I've tried to like I think, have you seen the race they're doing up in New Hampshire? This
dude,
obviously the Loudon race. Is that? Yeah, dude, I've seen it.
Nuts, but
it's a
like
lot of money.
He's, Eric Wood is doing a lot to try to revive club racing a little bit because of how shitty it's gotten for road racing.
He's obviously doing a good job because I've heard about it.
Dude, and everybody is going.
They're giving away like $50,000, I think, to the winner. It's bigger than the 200. That's pretty nuts.
No, that's awesome. That's what we'd love to see it.
And look at the 200 this year. I mean, they've now like on their 4th year where they're putting big money back in, and people are showing up.
There's a lot of hype for the 200 this
year.
I'm
excited. Who's your pick?
Ooh,
we already know.
200 pick.
Yeah, we know. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Champ.
Champ.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to not pick him because he's won the last 2. And last year, he actually really surprised me. Like with I didn't think he had a shot, and then he just won it. So, but it's hard not to pick.
It's timing.
It's hard not to consider Heron.
Do you think he'll miss his pit board again?
I don't think he does that again.
Dude, come on, bro. Run out of gas. That is such a rookie fucking move, bro.
It's so hard to predict a winner for that race because it's not a crapshoot, but it's kind of a crapshoot.
There's a lot of luck involved.
It's a lot of luck, and that, I rode Daytona, the road race track, and coming to the stripe, it's kind of I wouldn't say it's luck, but
it's long.
There's double in flat track you draft one time, like in road racing, it was weird for me. Like I drafted by somebody, I'm like, oh, I got this guy. Then he drafted back by me before the finish. Like the straightaway is long, dude. It's a highway. So you're drafting each other multiple times, and yeah, I guess like, yeah, I don't know. It'll be good though. I'm excited.
I think last year Hayes said that Marias kind of rolled it a little bit trying to play, and it kind of backed everybody up. And
well, you don't lead out of the chicane, right? Only one guy's ever won it.
You're not supposed to, but if you got a fast bike, but that Triumph you saw, it didn't really have any legs until like out of the corner, like out of the
until he wanted
turn
him,
3 and 4.
Like he
he was
some in the bank the whole time.
Because if you watch him come at it, go onto the first banking, that thing was a dog. It was like,
and it's kind of funny, like to see, like Brandon is my guy. Like I've known him since he was a kid, but like people like see him on social media and they're like, man, this kid's an asshole. Like he's just a punk. But like when you're with him, like how I see him, even when he's a punk, like the previous day, I'll be with him and he's like, he's not anything like that in person. Like he gets this like, oh, he's so cocky. But when I talk to him, he's like, he's the opposite. He's like self-conscious and not cocky.
I think he hides behind that a little bit. I mean, we wanted to get him on today. He blanked us actually, so we're not too stoked with him.
Yeah, he wouldn't come on.
Yeah, champ busy.
He's too big for us. Too big. We gotta get some more followers.
Rolex, dude. Yeah.
But I think, I mean, you obviously know him. Is that something you see in a lot of racers now with social media? Like I think it's more common among kids. Like everyone thinks they've got to have like this Logan Paul persona on social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's the follower thing makes people ego-y, but it also, it's value. There's value there. Like there's a lot of value in followers. It's actually annoying. You can be a really good racer and not have any followers, and you're not gonna get a paycheck.
Well, I think it's different than just followers. I think it's the engagement. You know, I mean, like if you have, I mean, the follower count is something, but having like he's got a good impression rate. Like I will give him, I give him a ton of credit. Like he's built something that's pretty good. Now, how does he manage that? Because you know what they say, right? Like the bigger you get, the more your flaws come out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you gotta just be aware of that. And like with Cruz too, like Cruz he's got a lot of followers for a 5-year-old kid. And he has no idea, but like I see it at the track. Like they want to.
He's not commenting on my post. Who is that?
But
is he the one that's hitting up the dog food company, or is that you on your Instagram?
I've messaged companies for his page. Oh yeah, he's got way more followers.
Do you make spelling mistakes and stuff, or are you perfect English?
No, he's a perfect English. Yeah. He's got a college degree.
Would you expect anything else out of Cory?
He's got a college degree. But no, like you notice it, like even like the Deegans, like dude, no one likes that kid, but he's like a nice kid. Like from what I've seen, he works hard but yeah, people will they see that and it's bait. So like, you know, BP's gotta like just use it. Like you have value in your social channels, but dude, like focus on what got you there, like being a good racer. So and yeah, don't let that stuff just get you up a little bit. Like, and I see that like Josh Herring gets a bad rap a little bit with that stuff too. And I've always got along well with Josh. Like we're cool. Like
it's the same kind of thing. When I'm in person with Josh, he's pretty nice. He seems he mellows out pretty well, but I feel like they're the same person a little bit, where they beef up quick.
Just like the social stuff, it's just like, and I've noticed that with a lot of road racers. Like no offense, but like it's just like ego-y. Like man, I come and I'll say like hi to the guys like at VIR when I came last year, and a lot of the guys are super cool, man. They come up, shake my hand, yo, what's up, C-Tex? And then other guys like they just walk by me, and I'm like, bro, like what? Like,
well, to be fair, if I was in your role at flat track, people would not speak to me at all. If I like show up to a flat track and I was like, I forget what
race
exactly.
Control,
like if I was in race control, I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy know about flat track?
Yeah, but like, no, I get it, but like for that job, like the road racers might not know, but dude, I put a lot into getting ready for that. So I think I crushed it. Maybe I'm biased, but like, dude, I did my homework, and I also stayed in my lane. Like if there's something I didn't know about, there's a team of 3 people in race control. Like I would ask Rick or Dan Argano, and but yeah, I get that as well. But man, I was just saying hi to people. Like, you know what I mean? But maybe they saw the press release, like, what's he doing here? But yeah, I mean, I don't half-ass anything. So it was scary to take that job on. It's a serious job, dude. Yeah. But it was like a week of studying. Like, dude, I watched film. I was ready for that job. Like, I went in there ready.
No, it's cool. I think it's great to have outside perspective. I think like when you get too many people that are there all the time, you kind of get numb to like things that.
Well, that was a tough weekend. That was the Petrucci weekend.
Petrucci.
Just sending it off the kink, bro. I'm like, so we had to make some tough calls that weekend, and I walked away from that job. I'm like, man, this job sucks. Dude,
Being
no
in
one
race
likes
control is
you.
tough. Nobody likes race control.
No, I
It's
didn't know
life.
that. I mean, I guess I could have assumed it, but I'm handing out speeding fines.
Yeah,
Y'all got speeding fines.
dude. I got
the
an
worst,
issue. I got an issue with that. Like
Nobody cared.
Hold
Nobody
on.
cared that much either. Like $250 fine for speeding.
Hold on.
If I gave that to a flat track guy,
They'd be
he'd
like,
lose his
lighting
shit.
it on fire.
Yeah.
well, we won't talk about that. All right, being
May or
in
may not have
being in race control though. Like, do you know? Like, I just want to touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I'm
So
a big race control
no,
guy.
but
A lot of
okay. So
experience.
the pit lane thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how it works? Like, so when you roll down, there's no like speed. There's really nothing. It's like if your guy on the electronics doesn't give you the at the right time,
Right.
you can't tell. Nobody's telling you, hey, no, dude, you got to slow down, whatever.
Yeah.
There's no red light. There's no nothing. They just go at the end of the weekend, hey, Big John Rispoli, you sped 3 times. And I'm like,
Just go slower. Like, that's what I didn't understand. Like, I didn't even know you guys had the rev limiter set to where it's supposed to be under the speed limit.
I know, but dude, ride a
what's
hog.
the hurry like to go out? Like, you have 30 minutes. Like, that's a lot of
Nah,
time.
dude, it's not like that.
No,
though.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I was like, but man, I gave out 20 of those speeding tickets. Like,
I got 2 at Road
Yeah.
America, and I was pissed.
but if you're 1 or 2 over, they're pretty lenient. But if it's 5, you're getting $250 fine, dude.
But like 5K
Or
is
100, I
like
forget what it
2.5
is.
miles an hour.
it's
isn't it?
nothing. The problem I have is that you can't tell you're going too fast.
Put a speedo on your bike, bro.
Dude, how about like 2 years ago, I got one
Oh, that was bad.
in a race.
That was
At
bad.
Road Atlanta. I got a ride through for jumping the start, and then I got a speeding
For
on
the
the
ride
ride through because pit lane is downhill at Road Atlanta. And so I had my limiter on and it was set for the right mile an hour, but because I was on it going downhill,
wow.
it went above it, and
Yeah.
they gave me another ride through because of it. I was
Yeah,
like,
and then like
What would you do if you're making that call? You pulling them back in, or you just adding time?
out of the 3 that I did it with, I was like I'm not saying nice, like they're nice guys, but I was like, let them go. Like, and they're like, I'm like,
Give 'em a
he's fine.
pass.
Yeah, like
You got a
Ulrich,
warning.
Ulrich didn't have their transponders on for the first practice. If you don't have them, it's like a fine too. So just handing out fines. And all 3 of his bikes didn't have transponders. And we printed out the sheets. He got them. He walks up to the tower. I'm like, you guys are taking this one.
Was it Old Man Ulrich?
Oh
or-
yeah, it was
Oh,
John.
dude,
It was
with the
John.
hat.
Yeah,
Oh,
he walked
dude.
up. I'm like, word.
No press releases for Cory Texter.
Yeah, I'm like, dog. I'm
You were
Dan,
blackballed,
Dan
bro.
Argano's like, I'll take this one, junior. I was junior. I was like,
Too soon,
take
junior.
this one, junior. Yeah. So,
Are you continuing that again this year with your role in the junior or the no
nah, I'm not doing race control.
one and done?
If Chuck and Wayne see this, that was a good job, guys, but it's not really up my alley. So I can do it if there's a fill in that I need. Now I know the ins and outs of doing it. And those guys work hard, man.
Yeah.
Like they get a bad rap, but man, they work hard.
Yeah, I mean, I always go back to Stuart Higgs. I think he does a good job. He's not very liked, right? Because he's kind of the buck stops. But I always think he's on the line. Like I don't think like you be Valentino Rossi, you're not getting a fucking pass. And I like that.
Yeah,
But he's
that's how
also
they-
like
yeah.
he switches and he's like,
Yeah.
you can talk to him, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they're fair. So
How did you get into the role with the whole what is it called? The
mini cup manager.
Mini cup.
Yeah, so like I'm really pretty good buds with Chuck Axlin now, and we talk a lot. And he knew I was retiring, and I have a good relationship with Wayne and Richard and everybody at Moto America. And I just wanted to change of scenery. Like I really enjoyed the paddock at VIR. It was a vibe that I really liked, and it's kind of funny because road racers say they like the flat track vibe, but man, I was a breath of fresh air. Just the way Moto America like treats their riders, their employees. What really like stood out to me at VIR was when Petrucci had his incident. He was hammering the series, hammering Moto America, and like the riders went to bat for the series. That was like eye-opening because you would never see that in flat track. So just that whole relationship there, it was really cool, something I wanted to be a part of. And they wanted to grow that mini cup program. It's kind of been there, but the effort hasn't been what they would have wanted. So we worked out a deal where, yeah, he's like, hey, would you come in and grow this series? So they brought me in. I helped kind of develop the 3 new classes, the schedule, and they've given me a lot of like freedom with this thing. I'm like, Chuck, can I do this? He's like, just do it. Make the call. I'm like, wow. So between Chuck and Wayne and Nicole, and man, everybody's like really, really fun to work with. They're professional, and I love being a part of it. So yeah, it was just a simple conversation, and here we are.
But I think as well, though, like that comes from you've done 3 volumes of the Winter Throwdown. You've been promoting
4.
You've been there's back to that research. You've done a few volumes of the Winter Throwdown, and you've promoted at some other tracks, and you've been really on the amateur side of things. So I think
that helped. That was part of their decision. Like Chuck follows a lot. That guy's like he's on it.
I'm also curious, like what are they changing? What are you changing that you've come in there?
So we brought in the stock classes this year. Like I wanted a more cost efficient way for the kids to get involved in road racing. The Rivalries are expensive. Like I was, it's a really cool bike, but it's more for like really serious youth. So the stock classes, I wanted to bring those in. So stock 50, stock 110, stock 125. It's just a good cost efficient way. You can go to a dealership, buy a TTR 125, put slicks on it or whatever the tires you need, and go racing at the Moto America level. So I brought that in. We did tweak the schedule a little bit, so try to get consistent entries all year. It was really hard going to the Ridge. Like most of the kids are East Coast based, and to miss that round, it hurts their championship, and it's way far out there. So we want to expand Mini Cup in the future, maybe have like a West Coast and East Coast. But this is our first year, and we're really trying to change the dynamic of what we've done in the past, and just kind of give them more exposure too. Like there hasn't been great exposure for Mini Cup, so just trying to grow it and make it worth their time to come out and race with us. So.
Yeah. Are you guys doing Pittsburgh again?
Yeah, Pitt. So we're doing 2 at Jersey, Pitt, Carolina, Motorsports Park, Road America, and Barber.
Okay, sick. Yeah, I was always curious why they didn't do Jersey, because New Jersey Mini GP is like huge up there. And
they race there a lot.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 there actually, 2 at Jersey.
Cool, because that's the first time they're going to Jersey. I don't think they did it last year, the year before.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be cool. What about like obviously getting a little bit old now, but I remember because that's when we were really tight. You were doing the Harley thing and road racing. Like how much of that kind of led to your decision to kind of get involved in it too?
I don't think that really led to much of it, dude. Yeah, that was
because you did 2 rounds.
Yeah,
you only did 2. I thought you did the whole year.
I did 2.
No, you did Daytona and you did
Road America.
Road America.
Yeah, at the time, man, I was just digging. Like I wanted to ride motorcycles, and I didn't have any great opportunities.
What year was that?
It was 2012 or 13, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this was
13.
I think it's 13.
Okay. This is when you kind of put. I don't want to jump around here, but this is kind of when you put your career on hold to help Shayna.
Yeah, that was like 11 and 12 where I barely raced, dude. Like, and people see where we're at now, but they don't see the process it took to get there. Like, they see us as like these rich kids whose dad owned a Harley shop, and then they see us where we're at now. Like, Shayna's a factory rider, doing the things I'm doing. But that stretch of like years after my dad passed away, bro, it was tough. I mean, we were sleeping in vans, like this stuff. Like, and we don't talk about it much, but it was like hard.
Well, I remember you didn't race.
No,
you literally kind of put all your eggs into Shayna then. And
we didn't have anything, dude. Like we had it's such a long, weird story, but like everything got like taken from us. Like we didn't have anything to go racing, and it was tough. Like that transition was crazy, and like the opportunity, Dennis from Mob Racing, like he was like, hey, I knew him, we were friends, we did the mini GP. He's like, hey, you want a road race? And I forget how it went about. Like maybe I reached out, we were joking around about it, and then like it happened where I was going road racing. So my dad, for people that don't know, he was a road racer. He won like the Twin Sports series back in the day, and I don't know, like I was really good on like the mini GP bikes, like the New Jersey and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I'd show up and I'd whoop Posh's ass, you know. I just think that on camera, but
he was like 4 years old.
Yeah, he was young. I whooped his ass. Well, the first day I tested the Harley at Jennings, he was on a 250 Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I was faster than him, so I still talk about that. But then I did a little test at Roebling or whatever it was, and I did really good. Like it was a club race, but like Mazziato was there, and like I caught him, and like these kids are young, but now they're good, so it's just like nice. I had you. But yeah, at these mini GPs, like I was fast, like, but I was foot out, blah blah. So I was confident that I could do it, and it wasn't bad. Like I was like mid pack at Daytona, could have been better. I just like jumped into it, didn't have great coaching. I had no coaching really. I just like was winging it. And no, but I don't think that really had anything to do with my decision. I forget that happened even, honestly. Like it happened quick. I went to Road America. We did Road America. I was pretty good at Road America the first practice, but I crashed on the downhill before the front straightaway. Went in and the hog just didn't like what I was doing. It bucked me off. And then the gravel you guys have, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got in the
you ain't getting
gravel.
out.
Nah, especially on a Harley.
Dude.
I got in the gravel. I'm
Just-
like, I'm just gonna lime this shit out of the corner. And dude, it just
Did you have to turn right too?
yeah, it was
Yeah,
right.
no chance.
Yeah.
Ain't
Ah.
no. We seen you on the TTs, bro. Ain't no
Hey,
chance.
I podium last year, so big TT guy. But dude, it just like crashed in the gravel really hard. And after that, I was like, dude, and then like, yeah, it just
Done.
it didn't work out.
Dude, I'm out.
But I rode an R6 at Jersey. Like I did decent. Like it could have been okay. I would never have been like Josh Heron or you guys, like, but I could have been like competitive if I put more time into it. But it was like, it was just weird. It was a weird thing.
What about I don't want to get into it just yet, but like how much of that also relative to your dad, like him having raced Harleys and like I didn't really realize as last night doing some research. So the twin sport was actually a Harley Cup in the road racing series. It's pretty similar to what you actually did.
Yeah.
Like, was there much of that, maybe even subconsciously, that you were kind of just
No, that was just like the class that I thought I could be the most competitive in. Like I'm not gonna go out on a super bike and just try to be competitive there. But like I'm a Harley kid. Like my family, we owned a Harley dealership for 60 years. So I mean that was cool. Yeah, growing up as a Harley kid, Harley's way different now like than it was back then. But at the time, like that was cool that I got to do it on a Harley. I mean the bike was like, I don't know.
We always thought like kind of you were destined for it, you know, like Lancaster Harley sponsored so many top dudes.
Yeah.
In dirt track, your dad did. I remember seeing the logo everywhere, and I mean, you guys showing up to amateur nationals and having quite the crew. Like you guys, I remember your dad always and Rich, right?
Rich.
You guys are always cooking plenty of food for everyone. Like it was always like the spot to be in, you know, growing up. So, and I remember staying there and being in the Harley shop with, you know, hanging out. And
I had a great childhood, man. I mean, growing up in the Harley shop, it's every kid's dream. Like, I mean, I saw Willie G. Davidson at Sturgis like a few years ago, and I went up to I figured he didn't remember me. It's been a while. Went up to just say hi and tell him who I was. I was, you know, Randy's son. And before I can even, you know, hey, Cory, how are you? Like, he remembered who I was. So that's like the epitome of being a Harley kid. Just like growing up at the Harley shop, going to dealer meetings, like the Sassmans, Brett and Peyton, the Wymans. We used to always hang out. And it was just like, it's like my old life. Like, it's something I miss, you know, that part of my life growing up. And I've had so many different like chapters in my life. Like, it's such an old chapter, but it's there and it's made me who I am. But it's so like my life's so different now.
did you think you were always going to be destined to run it? Did you want to?
Well, yeah, at the time for sure.
Did you want to?
I mean, I was young and naive. Like, I figured I did. Like, dude, I was an entitled kid. Like, I had a great childhood. Everything I needed. So I was an entitled, spoiled kid. So
I remember you used to get in some fights with your dad a little bit, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Shayna was definitely the golden child. So and like that's how dads are. Like dads and sons, I think they butt heads more than like daddy's little girl. But yeah, like for an example, like my first pro race at Daytona, my dad went with Shayna to an amateur race at Volusia, and I was at the pro race by myself. Not by myself. He hired a guy to help me, but well, like, dude,
had a factory mechanic?
my first pro race, he didn't even come.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was part of my life. Me loved my dad. My dad, you know, we had a good relationship, but it was definitely like, you know, father-son relationship. So, but I was a gnarly kid. Like, I'm not like going to jail, but like, dude, I was a punk. So,
Yeah.
you know, I had to learn like a lot. When my dad passed away, it was a big eye opener for me. It's like, dude, you better get your shit together. So yeah, I mean, it's part of my life, losing my dad. It's made me like really change. Like, I don't know if I'd be who I am now if that tragedy didn't happen. So yeah.
I totally feel that. You know, I instantly changed when I lost my mom. Like it was, you know, it's go time. You know, I don't know how to say it, but it was don't waste any time.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And
No,
so.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's just a cool, I mean, that was part of my life was really cool. I do miss it, but I'm also thankful that I'm not at the Harley shop every day, like grinding out bike sales and whatever else. So, but the shop's still there. I live right down the street from it. So it's definitely weird. I don't go up there much, but yeah, part of my life was fun.
So you still have your place in Pennsylvania?
Yep.
I know you you just got a house. We'll do a little sponsor plug from Real Estate Rispoli over here.
Didn't know if this guy wanted to talk about it or not.
Nah, I mean it's cool. Yeah, I mean I still live in PA. I love Pennsylvania in the summer. It's amazing, but man, it spoiled me coming down here. Like I came down here for a week, one winter. Like it's crazy. I don't want to be like a pioneer
It's
or
the
anything.
bug, dude.
But I feel like I was the first guy to come. Like I came down in 2013 or 14. I met Greg Boyle, a friend of mine, at a race, and he's like, "Hey, come down to Florida. It's really nice." I'm like, "Okay." So came down and I rode, and nobody was down here. It was just me. Like, and then like the next year, more people came down, and I've always dreamed about living in Florida. Just the bike week vibes. Like, I love that vibe. So I just like
Just love razzles.
it's bike week every day. So no, but yeah, I love Pennsylvania. I don't think I'll ever move from PA. Like I always want to be there, but with my job now, I can work remotely, and I PA in the summer and Florida in the winter. Just the riding down here, and you just can't beat. Like if it's 40 degrees, I'm miserable now. Like I don't know how people do it.
You just get bit by the bug.
Yeah.
I remember I was the same way. And I mean, now you talk about, that with your dad and whatnot. Now you're a father. You got Cruz. Do you plan on having another kid?
Not opposed.
Just
guess
when it's in the
like,
cards,
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm getting up there in
I was just
age,
wondering.
but no, I mean, we'd like to have another one. My wife Amber, and it's I'm not opposed to it, but man, kids are a lot of work. So like, I can't imagine another one. But people figure it out. My luck, I'll have like twins or triplets or something. Like this. And I'll
All
have 4
girls.
fucking kids.
All
so
girls.
I'd like to have a girl at this point. Yeah, the boy thing was cool. I wanted a boy first. Just every racer dad wants a little boy to take racing, but man, my kid stresses me out, dude. Just he's been wadding up lately, like just sending it, crashing, dude. He's like, I want a girl, like to do non-dangerous sports. So, but yeah, I mean that's something we'll see. I mean,
Do you think you took some of the stuff that, right, you said you were a little entitled kid growing up. I know you spoiled Cruz a bit, but I mean,
I'm like, man, this kid's like spoiled, but that's something that I think we're going to address as we go through it. And I don't want to hammer my parents, hammer my dad, or hammer my mom, but like, I don't think I had great guidance to handle that throughout the years. So I think that's something me and Amber can work on. Amber really grounds our family with that aspect of it. She's had a tough childhood as well. My wife, Amber, she grew up with her grandparents. Both her parents were, they were tough. So she grew up with her grandparents. So that dynamic, we try not to spoil him, but like, what do we do? Just like make him, like,
yeah.
I don't
Get a job, kid.
Yeah, get a job. Like,
No, I get it. I mean, I'm saying like it's not like I didn't have race bikes. Like
No, you had good
Illinois,
shit too.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll never say that I was. I mean, but Big Phil to this day is like, I'm like, hey man, like, we could use some stuff, and he goes, all right, yeah, cool. Well, I need to do this, so if you can do this for me, then I'm like, dude, it's always a deal with Big Phil. I'm like,
I mean, I think like having my like I had a lot and then I kind of lost a lot, but like most kids, they don't have a lot, then they get to where they need to be. So that dynamic was weird for me. So, but I think I've learned a lot from it. So I'll try to teach him like, dude, and I tell him now, but he doesn't understand. I'm like, dude, you have like 5 bikes. Like kids they would do anything for one bike. So trying to get him to appreciate motorcycles is tough when he's been riding since he's been 2 years old. That's all he knows. And that's how I was. Like growing up at the track with Chris Carr and Scott Parker and Ricky Graham, like I just assumed that was life. And like and then when I lost it all, it was like, oh shit, like this
isn't real.
This can go away quick. So then when I build it back up, my appreciation level is like way higher. So I just want him to, so I kind of understand that a little bit, like
I
as
think
he grows up.
Me and Cory is always. I mean, I don't know about you, Cory, but I always say like, I never want anybody to lose it, right? But I also think losing it really teaches you a lesson to how good it was, and I hope everybody, if they do lose it, they get it back, just so they learn I wish if you could plug somebody in on losing it without losing it, just so they understand it.
You gotta wanna do it too. So for him, like some days he doesn't want to ride. I'm just like, at first I'm like, what do you mean? Like, but like now it's like, all right, well, if you don't want to ride, fine. So we took like 3 weeks off. He didn't ride at all. I'm like, man, he's gonna get slow. He's gonna lose it. And then we took 3 weeks off.
Make it to Loretta's.
Yeah. And then we go to like the next race, and he crushed it. Like, it's just like kids are. And I train Trent, I train Evan, and I'm hard on those boys. Like, I'm training them to be killers. Like, they mentally and on the bike, like, I'm hard on those kids, dude. I don't know how they keep coming back every year. And then I'm trying to I put some of that in the cruise. I'm like, he's 5. Like, take some cheddar off. So it's just hard when, it's like where I'm at too. Like, I've really had to grind out like to be successful. And I'm just like, you gotta want it, kid. You gotta want it. And he's like looking at me like, what? What do you mean? So it's a weird thing to try and like get through fatherhood, man. But it's cool. Like, you're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna, like yesterday, I yelled at him for something, and I felt like shit. I was like, man, I'm really sorry. Like, didn't mean it. Like, and so it's, yeah, there's no parent is perfect. And that's something that every parent needs to understand. You're going to mess up, but take accountability and make it good. So
what's your take on moto-dads? I know you had an experience with a moto-dad at one of your races recently, right?
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a broad question, but
I mean, you definitely recently had one, and you were in a tough situation, I think, right? Because 1, it happened to your kid. 2, you are the promoter of the race.
Yeah.
I got to bring it up. How do you promoter and not be moto dad all in one? And I mean, luckily, a lot of other parents saw. They kind of got they did their thing first, but I know.
Yeah,
you gotta give a little background too about it, just so people.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, they see my temperament and they would think I would like self-implode as a promoter. But if you see me in that atmosphere as a promoter, I have really good temperament for it. Like, I try to stay calm. I try to work out situations. I've had parents cursing at me where if we're out at a restaurant or we're somewhere else, they're getting it back. But I'm like, trying to just everybody happy. Chick-fil-A method is like what I tell the workers. So like, yeah, I don't want to get into it. I mean, I'm kind of over it, but like the other dad on the starting line, this kid's good. He gets like top 5, like Loretta's and Minios. He's a really good moto kid. I was pumped to see him there because I want crews to race fast guys. And on the start, I'm like standing there on the line, and like I hear him say, "Turn left off the start and take out his front wheel." I think he said Cruz's front wheel. I don't know. That it might have said Cruz's or his front wheel. I'm like, what? I was like, I didn't hear that. And then I walk over and he says it again, and he moves the kid's bike closer to Cruz and he angles him. I'm like, it happened quick. I'm like, no way. And then the race started, and sure enough, the kid cut him off, took out his front wheel, and Cruz saved it.
You can see it's like blatant on the video. There's no like fluff.
Oh, there's
in
actual
this.
video.
Oh
yeah.
There's no fluff in the story. Like, it's happened.
No, that's what people think I was making shit
No,
up. Like,
no,
why would I make that up?
No.
So it happened, and then like I didn't say anything like within the first 5 seconds, but like the other dads were like, I can't believe he said that. I was like, dude, right? Like, yeah, he did say that, but I'm the promoter. So
yeah. So how do you?
Well, luckily Ken Salon from AMA was standing right next to me, and I just walked up to the dad, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, he's lucky that's all I said, because at the end of the day, I'm a dad first. Like, I'm a promoter, and I'll try to be as professional as possible. That's my kid, and I'll always be a dad first. So, but I handled it. I mean, the dad went crazy on me and everything else, and it's a shame. Like, the kid's a really good rider, and I'm sure the dad means well, but like, what do I do in that situation? I don't know, dude. I mean,
I think motocross is a little bit, as an amateur program, is definitely more killer than dirt track.
Yeah,
like
I would agree.
When you go to Loretta's as an amateur motocrosser, and you see literally like 70% of the paddock mortgaging their entire life to go there. It's you do or die as a 5-year-old kind of sucks.
Well, that threw Cruz off. Like, the kid was good, but like Cruz passed him in the heat, and he won the heat, and I think they knew that. But the he's a really good rider, and
it's kind of a shame for him, really.
Well, it threw Cruz off. Like, Dad, why'd he try? He was scared. He was devastated. He's like, why'd he try to take me out? Because it was obvious. And trying to explain to Cruz, my 5-year-old, like, how, like,
what a moto dad is.
They're sniping him on the line. It was a weird thing. But nah, we're over it. Like, I don't wish nothing. Like, I mean, the kid's a good rider. I just wish parents, like, come on, dude. Like, when I said, that's bullshit, dude. He goes, is it illegal? Like, that's the first thing he said. I'm like, whew. And then they just like, oh, you're a sore, because they did try to like, you're the promoter, you're a sore loser. don't come to his races. He only wants his kid to win. I'm like, dude, if you knew anything about me, you would know that like I'm not a sore loser. Like I love competition. If people beat me, dude, I'm the first one to come over and shake your hand, congratulate you. Like, so whatever. It didn't carry a lot of weight what he was saying because like I know what that means, and I was just like, whatever. Let's move on from it. So,
what would you say your dad, like his style was as you were growing up racing? Like you started racing at 4, right? So you were fully on from that time on?
No, I didn't race much as a kid.
Oh, really?
I played other sport. My mom and dad were divorced, so I played like ice hockey. I was a wrestler. I ran track, and I rode like XR100s in the backyard, but I didn't race till I was like 14, 15 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I remember showing up to Middletown. You were like the 100 god.
I always did
my
Middletown.
dude. This guy had
Is that the indoor or the?
it's the
the
indoor.
Coke syrup one?
Yeah.
Dude. This
I've
guy-
always been like
a 100.
We've always in the winter. My mom, she always let us like go up to Middletown indoors. So that's the only race I did every year. Once a year,
Not
we'd go up to
Timonium?
Middletown. No, I didn't do Timonium until I got older.
We're gonna get into Timonium.
I didn't do
gonna get into
Timonium
Timonium.
until I got older. So I would do those races or whatever. But yeah, essentially, I didn't race till I was 14 to 15 years old.
Oh,
But my
okay.
dad, like, I wish he was harder on me. He really
Really?
didn't give a shit if I did bad. Like, if I did good or if I did bad, he was just like, yeah, good job. Like, he wasn't hard on me at all with racing, result-wise.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I had more accountability there. I don't feel like I had people that really like believed in me when I was younger as much as I would have liked. Like the confidence thing, like even when I turned pro, I didn't feel like I belonged there. I was just kind of there, circulating. And growing up with guys like Chris Carr and Bigelow and Hacker and Murphy, like they were my heroes. And then I had to race them, and I just wasn't mentally ready to handle that. I'm like, I'm not going to beat these guys, So I wish I had more of that push from like people like you can do this, you got this, you're talented enough. Nobody told me I was talented enough to do it. So.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting conundrum too, like a bit when you're in a position where you have a parent or somebody who can kind of hand you everything or set you up really well. You kind of come into it as like, everyone's like, this guy's got the best of everything. He's got all the support. And then you kind of got like that almost in your mind, like, did I really earn this, or was it kind of just handed to me? Was that ever a thing for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got that a lot. I mean, when I would do good randomly, they'd be like, oh, he's only good because he's on a fast bike or he's on a good bike. And it's like, yeah, I mean, at the time it bothered me, but now where I'm at now, it's just one of those things people say, but
Yeah.
I'm a big Deegan guy. I love the Deegans, but like same thing. Like he's only good because he's got money and he's got a name. It's
I'm
like,
so glad he crushed it because
Yeah,
He's crushing it.
I'm so glad and you can kind of see the persona's already changed. Like all the big dogs kind of came out and backed him,
well, just because it's not his fault or my fault, we were put in that situation where we have money. So you can't knock him. Like he works hard still, and I feel like, and I didn't work hard, but that's a bad example. But yeah, I mean, it's not his fault or anybody's fault. You're put in those situations. So yeah, I mean, that dynamic was tough, but it's just so funny to hear that because like it's so long, like that part
Different
of me
chapter.
was so long ago where it's like he's only good because he's on. Because then like the rest of my career, like I wasn't on like the best bikes, I mean, they're good bikes, but never rode like back then it was like, oh, his bikes are the best, and now it's like my bikes are good, but.
Yeah. You said you almost wish that he was a little bit harder on you. Like, do you think that's, I often wonder kind of the same thing. Cause I didn't really have that. Like my dad would I don't think my dad gave a shit if I even raced at all. He would probably be happier cause he's an anxious kind of dude, would be less stressed out. But I always wonder too, like if I had more of like a moto-dad or, your typical like hard ass kind of like, would that have made me better or would have burnt me out? Like,
Yeah, I don't think I'm a kid that would have got burnt out. I think I would have like thrived on that. Like, it just didn't happen. I mean, my dad he wasn't hard on Shayna either. I mean, we just like kind of did our thing. He did everything he could to help us, but yeah, I mean, I just think like there are things that we could have did differently that would have helped us more. But again, like if he didn't, if that tragedy didn't happen, I don't know if I've ever would have like thrived more like I've really developed more. I've had to like find inside of me like what it takes to do it. So it's a weird thing to even wonder. Like my dad was RLT. I mean, people that know him, he passed away 12 years ago. It's so long ago. I mean, everybody in my life now, like a lot of them, they never met my dad. Like Breyer.
I never
You know
met your
what
dad. Yeah.
No, I know. Like a lot of people, it's like the people that do know RLT and my dad, it's like, it's really cool. Like, that's like, oh yeah, you know, like back when your dad, like I was like, oh, you knew my dad. Like, you know, it's just, it happened so long ago. Like a lot of people in my life now don't know anything about my dad. And he was just a really good, unique guy, man. So it's, yeah, it's crazy how time fucking flies.
Yeah.
Dude, it flies, man. I know.
crazy.
I got the same feeling.
You mentioned your parents were divorced pretty young. How old were you?
I don't even know. It's like 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah. What was that like racing? You said you didn't even really start
I didn't
racing until
really
you're a bit
race
older,
much.
but Shayna was racing obviously a little bit younger, or
Yeah, she was 12, 11 or 12 when she started. She started on like a TTR 125, just like, cause I was racing. She's like, I'd like to try it. And like, she just was so good right away. It was annoying. Like I sucked. Like I was,
annoying.
dude, I try so hard. I would just want it so bad. She'd show up, throw on her gear and just be really fast. Like she went from just starting riding that one year, the end of the year, she was hanging with these boys. Like she's like a 11, 12-year-old girl on an 80. Like it was just so, it was tough for me because I would say at that time she was better than me. And I'm sure people can debate that now, who's better or whatever. But at the time, like she was definitely better than me. She was beating me and she was my little sister. So that was tough.
What was the dynamic like having your parents not together? Like, did that affect your racing at all? My parents were kind of the same. So like racing was my dad's thing, and then my mom was kind of a whole separate life.
My parents fought a lot. I mean, my mom didn't really want us to race too much. Like I said, I did other sports, which I'm grateful for, and I'm glad I didn't race like as much when I was younger, much at all, because like I got to do other things in school. Like I graduated from a normal high school. Like Shayna was homeschooled in high school. Had friends. I was cultured. Like I got beat up in school. Like I played school sports. I went to proms with girls that were way taller than me, and so I got to do that part of my life. So if I was just a diehard racer kid, I don't think I would have, because racers are awkward.
Yeah.
Like most racers that don't experience that part of their life, they're just fucking awkward. Like they're just awkward kids, so, or awkward people. And I feel like getting that social life for me, it's helped me a lot in like other parts of like this industry where like racer people, like the diehard racer kids, like they're just weird, you know?
Yeah.
So, no, I think that dynamic was cool, but my parents, yeah, like now my mom's super into it. Like, right after my dad died, she really stepped up and they come to most all the races. She's flying into Daytona. My mom and my grandparents, like I don't have a big support system. My dad's side of my family, I don't talk to at all anymore. So I got my mom, I got my grandparents, and then my siblings and my wife and a couple close friends. And that dynamic, man, I'm really thankful for. It really helped me get through like my retirement. They're helping me get through this part, like with Daytona. They're helping me. I'm getting texts from the boys like, you need the race. I'm like, dude, I'm not racing. So they're like pushing me, like, I'll get the bike ready. I'm like my buddy Ryan Connolly. Dude, the bike, they're literally trying to get the bike ready for me to race
Late
Daytona.
entry.
It's like, dude, I'm not doing it. So
You and Amber have been together for a really long time, right?
yeah, I mean, it's been like 17 years off and on a little that we've been together. I mean, it's been, dude, she was with, like, I started seeing Amber when I turned pro sport.
What year was that?
Like 06.
Oh, because in 07, didn't you won in G Expert?
I won, that was my first Expert Twins
There you
win
go.
in Tucson. Yeah, I had a stuff job for the win.
Ooh.
I wanted it, dude. I came close that whole year to winning one, and yeah, I finally got it. But no, I mean, Amber, yeah, it's been a long journey with Amber, dude. We've been together a long time. So it's crazy how we've developed too. Like I look at old photos of us, I'm like, dude, like life was so different then. Cause at the time I wasn't even really allowed to be around her. Like they didn't want a racer kid who was older than her hanging around her. And yeah, then we, got married, have a kid, and you sort of lose that journey a little bit where you're at now. So it's she's behind the scenes a little bit with like my career and things like that. Like she doesn't get the credit she deserves, and maybe part of that's on me, but man, like the dynamic she gives me, it's like, it's just home for me. So like it's, she's a big part of like getting me through, like it's something I don't talk about much, but racing for me, it gives me a lot of anxieties. I'm a racer that doesn't like to take risk. And it's affected my career. Like, dude, there's races where I do bad because my anxieties are shot, and I don't like being near other racers. I'm just, as like a champion in the sport that has that fear. She really like has helped me put perspective into that over the years.
Because I wanted to bring that up. I know you have dealt with that. Now I don't think it gets talked about enough. You personally, but just the situation. I think there's a lot of people that go through what you're describing, and maybe not as bad, but there's a lot of people that go through depression and stuff like that. We talk about it all the time, how when you do get that thing pulling from you, it's really tough. I mean, when I came back in 2019, or some of the times I had, it was, dude, I was ready to quit. I was, necking bottles of wine. Like I didn't, this wasn't James Roscoli. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and can you go into a little bit about like how, what that was like and how you got through it? Cause I see you now and I'm like, even when I raced you, hard in 2020, like you were a different person and you were definitely a lot cooler and relaxed is what the word I'll use.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the anxiety, and I had really bad OCD. It was like a huge part of my life that I never really talk about. It was so bad, I almost dropped out of like middle school. Like I couldn't get through school. Like I had OCD so bad where I wouldn't step on cracks on the floor. Like this is like MTV shit. Like I would turn a light switch off and on. Like it was bad. Like it was a big part of my life that I've had to get through, and it's affected like my racing career. Like in my early, and this is stuff I've never talked about. Like in my early days, I'd have my OCD so bad, I'm on the starting line getting ready to drop the green light, and I'm fucking with my shield up and down. Like I had to do it like 6 times or else I didn't feel safe. Like I've been able to handle it so much better. And a lot of it was, I was on a lot of medication when I was younger to try and get it better, make it better, but it was making me bipolar. It was making me depressed. And honestly, like I just had to figure out a way to naturally get through it. Like exercise helps. And, but there's days, like if you look at my races last year, there's days where if I don't feel comfortable, I'm going to let the pack get sorted and I'm going to just try to pass as many guys as I can. And you look at the points that the championships I've lost, I think like Indy Mile that year, dude, I was really bad the first day. I started on the 4th row. I think like if I could, if that part of my like life was better, I think I would be a better rider. But it's just one thing I've had to deal with. And then, losing Varns and losing people, it makes it hit so much harder. And for me, like that Weedsport race where we lost Ryan, dude, that was psycho shit for me. Like my boy just died on the track, and I had to go out. I'm in a championship hunt, and I went out and won the race. Like racers are, it's just crazy to think about. It makes me mad actually that I went out there and I did that. Like I should have. And at the time, I didn't know how serious it was. I knew it wasn't good, but I just like. It's really, it takes a toll on racers mentally when you see that stuff, you're around that stuff, and it's messed me up, man. Like the whole Ryan thing, man, that was my guy, and it happened right in front of me, and I had to go out and win the race. Didn't have to, but I went out and I did it. And yeah, so that anxiety thing for me, it's something I still deal with a lot now. And it's an inner struggle that I just like try to get through day after day. And my mom and my Amber and people that know how bad it is, they've really come through for me to help me. So
now, if say there's racers or people that are listening to the pod, how have you kind of helped yourself, or how did somebody that doesn't have that support group, how could they, do you have any advice like going into a race weekend specifically? Hey,
I mean, for me, it was just, if there was risk I was willing to take, I would take it if I was comfortable. If there wasn't, like, that's why you see a lot of different versions of C-Tex on the track. Like, you look at Cedar Lake last year, Cody and all those guys, like, dude, you were dicey. I'm like, yeah, I was comfortable. And then you see races like we'll talk about Springfield Mile where, man, I just have not been comfortable there. I'm barely making the main event, So advice, I try to put yourself in good positions where you're comfortable and, have people that love you there on the track, like supporting you. And I like the natural way of doing it. I think for me, medicine made me worse. It made me bipolar. It made me grumpy. I got fat when I took a couple medicines. For me, just the exercise. And at the end of the day, like I love racing and I'm willing to risk what I need to do to race. Like I was willing to pay that price, but I wasn't willing to take that extra risk. Like, have you ever seen the movie Rush? Like,
Oh, yeah.
with Niki Lauda, I'm not willing to go that extra percent. That was me. So if there's a day where I was off, because of that, I don't want to take that risk. I had to live with it, and I'm okay with it. So I walked away with no regrets. Like, I'm not willing to take that extra risk today. If the 4th place was because of that, Amber, she would be like, "It is what it is, Core. Like, you didn't want to take that risk. You got to live with it, and it's not your fault. It's one of them things that you had to live with and walk away. So it's a hard dynamic. I don't have great advice, honestly. I mean,
Do you think the accountability helps the most?
Yeah,
being okay with it.
I'm a big accountability guy in life now, in general, in my life. I wasn't when I was younger, and now I'm huge on accountability. If you don't take accountability on anything you do, you never realize that it's there. There's a problem. You brush it under the rug, and you keep doing the same shit. So my guys I train and help out, they hate the word accountability. That's all I say. And they give me shit for it. But, dude, it's so big in life. Like, you got to take accountability or you won't be better. So, yeah, I think that's big. Like, knowing there's a problem and addressing it, I think that's big. And anything like anxieties or stuff like that. And that's why, like, honestly, you see me, my eyes twitch a lot sometimes. I do weird things with my, like, hands. And I have, like, really bad anxiety and OCD. So that's something not a lot of people know.
Yeah, I can relate a little bit. I mean, it's something I struggle with, not to that extent, but I can relate to like that last like 1%. And for me, like I can't go fast unless I'm very comfortable. Like I'm very methodical and stuff like that. Do you think that that's helped in some regard, just because of like you said earlier, you haven't had a lot of injuries? Do you think like in some ways it works out to be a little bit of a strength that you're able to kind of walk away 100%. In the place where you're at?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if there's extra risk involved, I'm not taking it. And I think I've avoided situations because of that. The Atlanta crash, the singles crash with Wellesley, when he looped it around in front of everybody, I'm in that race. And if you watch the race in slow-mo, he's starting to spin around. I'm like, if you slow-mo it, I'm the first one. I'm mid-pack, completely off the gas, trying to like get out of it. There's fucking guys behind me, full stick. It's hard to race somebody that does not care about, they're naive to the dangers of racing. So that's one thing like I like about the top level classes, Superbike, Super Twins. Like they're not as naive to that. And that's why when I rode the singles class, I struggled because those guys, they just don't get it.
Same.
And it's like, it's probably Moto3. Like you see like these naive kids, it's like, you need to know racing can kill you. It's dangerous. And you gotta respect that. And if you respect that, more times than not, it's a good thing. Like anything can happen to anybody, but just show racing respect because it's a gnarly sport. So
I think that's like, for me, like I try to do flat track. I talk about it all the time. I was pretty bad at it.
Dude, except for
Sturgis, Sturgis, baby.
Sturgis,
I love it.
No, weed sport, I think you qualified like...
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I did fourth.
And that was a slippery...
Crashed on the first lap of the heat.
Yeah,
Didn't make it. But like for me, honestly, doing flat track made me a lot better at road racing because of the fact that like I had to push through my anxieties and like the track changes so quickly. Like you have 4 laps to get up to speed. Like it's just so I can imagine how crazy tough it's got to be to do that like your whole life, like to battle that and trying to be at the top. Like, and
when I took my helmet off at Volusia last year for the last time, it just was like a weight was off my shoulders. Like leading up to like the miles, like last year and the last few years, dude, I couldn't sleep. Like I just wanted to get through the miles safe. Like my first priority.
Fast?
It's just so fast and like you're so close to the walls and like a mechanical like miles sketch me out, dude. And I've won a lot of miles. And I haven't won them off drafting. Like, I mean, a lot. I've won them just because, like, I found other ways to be successful at them. But, yeah, once I took that helmet off, it was like a weight was off my shoulders. It was such a good feeling to not stress out. Like, and if you're going for championships, you can't worry about what I was worrying about. Like, I got to go out there and try and win. And I was just like, dude, I got to get through this day.
Dude, I have this weird thing. I don't know if other people do, but I see crashes before they happen. Like, they might not happen, but I always think about, like, I don't know, like a Sherlock Holmes kind of vibe. No, seriously though, I always kind of
got his pipe, he's smoking on the grid.
Dude, but like, so I know what you mean though by like the kind of vibe where you see, I don't know, like it always hurt me a little bit. Like I see, if this guy breaks and then who's going left, what am I doing? And I don't have an out. I'm against the wall. Like, and I don't really race like that. I mean, I'm the first guy on the wall at Springfield.
No, you are.
You know what I mean?
And
But
like at Port Royal last year, when you passed me up by the bales, I went up there with you, and I didn't want to. Hacker came up. He's like, I got second in a semi. Like I win main events. I do well. I win semis by a lot. I got second in that semi, and that's when Hacker texts me. He's like, I can't believe you're retiring. He's like, you still got it. He's like, I can't. He's like, when you went up there with him, he's like, that's not you. He's like, that was impressive. He's like, you were right by the bales with him. He's like, that was sick. I'm like, I got second in the semi, but I got out of my comfort zone. Like the times I still didn't, but there's times in the last 5 years where I stepped out, and I think, that was cool, good for me to do.
Do you think that, there's kind of a stigma around you being on the bottom, right? I think at some races you're phenomenal.
When you say on the bottom, you mean like on the bottom,
on the bottom of the track, right? You hug the bottom. I don't know how to say it because you're phenomenal on you ride the track so well. There's tracks when we race against each other where I only had the top, right? Williams Grove, one of them.
Yeah.
You talk about surprised me a lot in that main event. You were super fast, but do you think, has that hurt you not being able to be adaptable, or like say Williams Grove, we go back there?
Yeah. Well, honestly, part of that was the bike I was on. Growing up on an XR, if you watch my races, like that Tucson win, I was around the top. So I can ride the top. I don't like to risk it near the bales, but the bike I was on, that Yamaha, the C&J, it was a point and shoot bike. So honestly, it took me a while to learn how to point and shoot. But the bike was so good point and shooting that I had to do it. I had to get up on the meat of the tire. So, but I'm more willing to go to the bottom, yeah. But there's some things that I like the bike I was riding, it just doesn't do well. So I could go up to the top, but I might fade back to fourth or fifth, where if I stay down low, I'm still get a second out of it. So, and that's something you see with JD Beach on the Yamaha now. And he's come up to me and we've talked about it. I'm like,
he's the first one to the bottom too now.
He wasn't. He used to try, and we talk about this a lot, because we both were on Yamahas and we help each other out. I'd be like, dude, he's racing Indians that are great up top, and he's on a Yamaha. I'm like, dude, Indian passes you up high, he'd go up on the high line and try and stay with him. I'm like, dude, that's not the Yamaha line. I'm like, you gotta take what it'll give you around the bottom, and he's gotten fourth at Wheatsport, just sticking to the bottom. You have to have that discipline. If someone passes you high, you want to go up there. But you got to realize that it's a different bike. So you're on a Harley, you could do that differently.
Yeah, 100%.
Where I couldn't. And one of the races that I'm really proud of, was Joliet in 21. I was 7th or 8th, 3 laps in. I rode the high line, Spoli style, and and came up and won the race on the high line. So I got things in my bag that I don't like to pull out, but if I have to, it's all right. I'm not comfortable, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, definitely. 2020 surprised me. I thought mentally you would crack, and to be honest, you're one of the toughest guys I've raced. So kudos to you for sure. Because even to going into the last race, you kept pulling points back. Mistakes were happening, and I respect that, because I thought for sure, this is a sidebar, but I thought Williams Girl was hook, line, and sinker.
That was tough for me.
Coming to your backyard and doing it, and you fought back, and that's
that was a fun year, man. It was a fun year. I think I rode really well at the end of the year. In that year, I learned a lot, because I think in 19 when I won, I barely won. I didn't finish the year well, and people were like, "Oh, he just got lucky. It was the first year of the class," And there's always been this he's not that good still. He's not that good. I'm like, well, fuck, for not being good, I win a lot of races. So, it's just, he's still not good. He's still not good. And I think the end of 20, I think I changed a lot of people's opinions. Wow, you look at my lap times compared to the Super Twins guys, dude, I was the fastest guy at Atlanta out of all of them. So I love telling Briar that story.
Oh, dude, I'm he's gonna eat you up.
But the track, it was the same. That track didn't change from our main to his main. It was pretty similar, and yeah, I just like to give. Oh, and I qualified faster than him at Lima last year.
He's got a notebook.
Yeah. Well, dude, I don't have much on Briar.
I know.
But what I have, I try to keep it in the pocket. But yeah, 20 was a good year, and racing with you. But yeah, to be honest, dude, you publicly mentioned that you wanted to wrap it up at Charlotte. I said, not a shot.
Not a shot.
I was willing to crash because that track was sketchy.
So sketchy.
You had your face up on the wall with fucking throwing darts at it.
No, I was almost. No, I never I never had animosity toward him that year. Like,
No, you raced me clean.
I
Like,
raced you too clean sometimes.
Too clean.
Yeah,
Too clean.
But
Should've
like
cleaned it
Charlotte, like that was motivating for me. Like, you publicly said like we're gonna wrap it up at Charlotte, and I knew at that point my chances of win the title were like 3%. But you tried to like, it was kind of like a kick in the face to me. Like you're like, we're gonna wrap it up 2 races early. I'm like, dude, no. I'm like, I'm gonna crash trying to not. I want that banner to go back in the truck in Charlotte. So, and we won on Charlotte, and I hated that track. I hated it. But like, I did not want you to like. When you said that, I'm like, that's kind of disrespectful. Like,
Do you, well, so like, you know, whatever, tactics here and there. Like I said, you know, at Williams Grove, I figured for sure that was it. Like that was the crack. I mean, and, you know, just sometimes it doesn't work, and it didn't. I mean, also, I would say that you're kind of a little bit like Kenny Roxon. Like when you get out front, if you can't get by you in like the first 3-4 laps, it's pretty hard to make a pass on you. And because you're like, if that's your lap time, it's fast and you stay there. I remember learning that day one at Volusia.
yeah.
And where does that come from?
It's kind of funny you mentioned Roxon because like somebody the other week they're like, I forget, one of the stupid kids are like, if you could compare your like riding to a moto guy, who would it be? They ask the stupidest questions, and I thought more like Cooper Webb. Like I'm not flashy, but like I'm good as the race develops. But if I get out front, I'm pretty good out front. Like I don't like I like it's comfortable for me. I'm just riding around, so. I don't know if there's been many races where I've been out front where I've actually gotten past. I think you've done it
Texas.
once or twice, yeah. But usually, like, yeah, if I get out front, like, we're good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I have like I'm a late race guy. Like I like charging through. A lot of these guys, they don't have the fitness they need to. Which you're going in a circle for 8 minutes, you should be good, but it really throws people off. So. But yeah, I mean, I get good starts, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think I have like a specific sort of riding style, but I think I can charge through and I can, I get good starts as well. But it's way easier when you get a good start, especially in flat track. I feel like because you control the race. Like there's days where I've been slower. I'll get a good start, and they just slow up too. It's like, dude. So yeah, it's just my racecraft has really changed over the years. It's actually crazy to see and look back on. So
You mentioned some stuff about Briar. What is that like having your sister, racing, and then also kind of ended up marrying someone that you have to, ride around or be around in that sense?
Briar, man, that's like that's my guy. Like I would do anything for Briar, but sometimes he can be a dick. So it's like, dude, I love this kid. Like I love Briar. He's family now, and honestly, a lot of it with Shayna too. Like, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I don't feel like they appreciate me as much as I feel like they could. Just like my loyalty to them as like a brother, and I would do anything for either one of them. And Shayna does. She's stepped up a lot. I'm so proud of Shayna. Like how she is as a sister to me now. Like compared to how she was, she's come a long way. And I love Shayna. She's like. We've been best friends for a long time, but I just feel like I give so much to people. I help. I would do anything to help anybody that I'm close with. And I sometimes like there's weeks where Briar won't even talk to me for 2-3 weeks. I'm like, bro, what did I do? So everybody handles things differently, but at the end of the day, I'm a ride or die for the people I love, and Briar and Shayna and the kids I train, Trent, Evan, my wife, of course, Cruz, like my friends, like. I'm ride or die for them, and I think like maybe I'm too strong in that aspect, and maybe it kind of like it rubs them the wrong way. I don't know, but it's a cool dynamic. I love like Briar's so talented, and it's weird because she dated Brandon Robinson for a long time.
I didn't want to get into that, but I was gonna ask.
It's all good. Yeah, they're all friends now, which is kind of weird, but it's cool. It's cool. It's all like double dates and stuff. But,
I know, it's so funny, and they're both married now.
Yeah, and they're like friends. Like,
that's the flat track thing for sure.
Dude, they'll go on bicycle rides. They won't even invite me. I'm like, you fuckers. Like,
dude, it's so funny.
But yeah, I mean, it's
coffee rides. Dude, we can't handle you at the front powering.
Well, dude, it's tough now too because Shayna's on an e-bike, so like she's up front and I'm like she's half wheeling me, then I pick up and I'm half wheeling. I look down, we're going 24, and yeah, I mean I'm competitive, dude. Like I'm competitive
know,
in
dude.
anything, and it's like at the end of the ride, like James is a good cyclist. He's smart, so like he'll be where he needs to be, and then like when there's a sprint, like I don't know anything about cycling. I just pedal. Like I'm just like shot, and he just like his Tour de France racecraft. They just like fly by, and I'm like dying trying to like. I just pulled for whatever, and so I mean it's the group rides they're fun, man. I don't get invited anymore though. It's been a bit. So.
Go by association.
Yeah,
That's funny. That's funny. You talk about training. What like it seems at least in my opinion, watching flat track and since everyone's moved to Florida, that kind of stuff, like training's become so much more of a part of it than maybe it was years ago. How has that changed in your time as a pro?
Yeah, I mean, I'd put the top pro flat track guys and their fitness up against anybody in any discipline. Like you look at Breyer, Breyer's really underrated. He likes to joke around about eating donuts and stuff, but Breyer's a beast. And then you look at like Jared Meese, obviously.
Yeah, he's nuts.
You look at JD, and JD's kind of a road race flat track guy, and myself, like I mean, and other guys that are at the top level of flat track. The fitness is no joke. It's kind of funny, man, like, because it definitely was not like that growing up. I mean, you see the Jay Springsteens and the Terry Poovies smoking cigarettes, and that's why I have such a hard time with the old heads on social media. Oh, the old guys would smoke Jared Meese, and they would smoke Breyer, and I'm thinking, dude, like...
You think they're going to the gym? Like
that's what I mean.
You think
they were
they're
lifting six packs.
They weren't.
No,
they definitely weren't. And like,
you think their talent was that much more? No.
And it's no offense to the old, because I'm like, dude, I grew up in that era. Like, I am a '90s kid. Like, they were my heroes. But it's silly to think like you look at Breyer, Jared, like the fitness level, how well they ride. There's not a lot of guys, so it takes away from the persona of the quality because of the quantity. It's like, dude, our top guys are good. They're athletic. They're mentally strong. They ride moto well. You go to the packs.
Dude, everybody's riding moto. Like,
everybody is so good at moto now, flat tracky. Like, it's annoying. Like, because I've gotten better at moto, like way better. And I'm like not bad, but I ride with guys like Breyer, who Breyer can make a gate. He could make a gate.
You think?
Yes, I know he could. Because there's guys that we ride with back home that make gates. He's as fast as they are. I know, he'd have to train for it a little bit, but he could absolutely make a gate. So it's, Dallas and, all these guys are so good at moto. So it's changed so much. The riders in flat track are way, way more well-rounded. The fitness is insane. So yeah, that dynamic it's funny to look back at like, the Jay Springsteens and stuff like that. I mean, these guys it's just a different era.
Do you, so kind of going on that, you say you got a kind of house full of kids, like do you like having the kids around, and why do you support those kids and be a mental coach and stuff like that? Are you trying to lead them down a path that or the mistakes you made, or what's the whole drive behind that? Like, man, a lot of people, like, I mean, it costs money. Like, it's not cheap to just have kids.
No. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have somebody helping me. Like, nobody helped me out, dude. Like, I just like tagged along. I learned what I could. So yeah, I mean, the kids I help, the first year Trent came down, it was just a trial thing. And I've worked with Trent now for 3 years, and I think he's an absolute front runner to win the singles championship this year. I think he's pretty underrated. He's very underrated. And where, like, the training wise, yeah, like when Trent first came down, he couldn't run a mile. Like, this guy's, he was weighing his food in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, he's that's a little much, but he's got his shit together. We go on a run. He couldn't run a mile. I'm like, ooh, this is not good. So, but his fitness wise, we've gotten it to where he's pretty strong now, but more so mentally. Like, I just think like I've got a really good hold on like the mental aspects that it takes, and just trying to teach them more like the mental side of what it takes. Big thing with Trent is he didn't take accountability. His bikes, yeah, there's accountability work, but like he wouldn't do good, and he's always blaming his bike or his tire or his shock. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking care if your handlebars fall off. I'm like, what can you do better? So now it's really refreshing to see like he's hard on himself, and I feel like I've done that. Like, I've helped him get to that point. And same thing with Evan Renshaw. He's he's a kid that grew up. I've known him since he was 8 years old.
He's a young ripper.
He's fast. He's 15 years old. He grew up 10 minutes from me. His dad and mom, they don't have a lot of race knowledge or background. He's a really nice, humble kid. He's aggressive. He's dicey, and he's like my second kid now. So I like having the kids there. There's some days where I need a break. I'm like, boys, go to the beach. Let's leave me the fuck alone. Like,
Lock the door.
yeah, go to the beach. Leave me alone.
Daddy needs some time.
Props to Amber for putting up with the boys too. Like Amber cooks. We cook them breakfast. Like we really brought them in as like our own kids, man. And I want to see that through. And now Trent's riding for Turner Honda this year, so that was a big step for him. And Evan's turning pro next year, and I don't know where that, it's not really a job for me because I'm not really getting paid to do it. I just kind of help them out. Like I had my amateur team I've helped out. Like I really want to just I like helping people. Like I listened to the Johnny Lewis podcast, and I could relate in that way a little bit. Like not as much as he pretty much put his career to the side to be a coach. And I'm still selfish in some aspect, but I get a lot of satisfaction from seeing the growth of Trent, to where he's at now. It's just it's really cool to see.
I mean, I kind of want to keep going on this a little bit. I mean, you're a team manager for First Impressions, and you talk about, is that, okay, we'll kind of connect a few dots here. Evan's turning pro. I mean, he's pretty good. Dirt track's tough in that way where you're not like signing amateurs and stuff like that. But we've seen like Cody kind of like get the nod. You've got Chase Sadoff as an amateur getting the nod from
Dallas.
Turner, Dallas from Essendon. Like these kids, we've had kind of a couple kids get it where, like us, you've been banging on every single person you can call and they're like, nah, dude. And so how are you trying to, set him up for where he wants to be? Does the first impression thing, does that help you or hurt him or help him? I mean,
at the end of the day, there's a conflict of interest with a lot of my jobs. The promoter thing we talked about, I'm a manager for First Impressions. I rider coach Trent, who rides for Turner. A lot of this stuff is a little bit conflict of interest. So I try to keep everything separate. If Evan's best opportunity is to ride if I'm managing that team in the future, then obviously I'm going to look at that. When Trent signed with Turner, I didn't have that manager job yet. He's on a great team. Like that was the best decision for him, and he's going to crush it. They have a great team, but yeah, we've gotten calls for Evan already. From 3 of the big teams already. They're interested in him. So it's my ultimate job. It's not really feasible in dirt track, but like Lucas Myrtle, Jet Lawrence and Shimoda, Hunter Lawrence, their manager. I think I would have the most fun, and I'd be great at that job. But they're based on commish, and even if I would get a young flat tracker $40,000, it's a big money. Say I take 10%, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not really a feasible job for.
It's more the love.
Yeah, it's more the love and I just I don't know.
It's fulfilling, probably.
It's fulfilling, right? And I just want to help people that don't have the best opportunities. At least teach them and learn. And now Trent's pretty hands-on with himself. He's learning how to do things on his own, where Evan we're working up to that. But I mean, it's like when Trent got his first podium, dude, I was pumped. It's that part of, it's just a satisfaction. Not everything needs to have a monetary value or, it's just being a good person. And, I'm pretty cutthroat and, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm caring, I want to help people out, and that part of my life is important too. You got to make money, you got to, and I hold a lot of value on the projects I'm involved with. It rubs people the wrong way. It's oh, he's only worried about money. It's well, dude, it's my job, but there's other things that they're fulfilling in life that you need as well, and jobs like that or things you do, it's a big part of your life.
So do you run the First Impressions team, or are you just what does a team manager in dirt track really mean?
It's kind of it's a weird, it's a good question.
You Mitch Payton now?
I do. So
you porting heads over there?
The first thing I did was I brought in James Ott as our second rider. Called up James. I called up his dad Paul, he was my setup guy at G&G. Great, underrated setup guy. Brought him in. I handle the day-to-day things, run the team meetings, help with the test schedules, keep Chad keep Chad on his on his
I mean,
daily
I will
task.
say this, dude. He's been sending me his Stravas, and I mean, he's been on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's digging. What that means, we don't know. With Chad,
What are the
you know?
Stravas from? Are they from bike rides or something else?
And that's dude. It's like
he's got a stigma, man. I mean, and how do you, I mean, we're older now, so like we don't care. And me and him are like bros. Like we'll always be. We crashed a van together. Like I think you solidify as bros more than anything, you know. There, but it's tough, you know, when you see somebody with that much talent and you're like, dude, stop fucking off, man.
Yeah.
Like you could win races.
Yeah.
You know? So
It's-
how are you?
Yeah, and that's like Chad's my guy and he's my friend. And you know, I had to from one dynamic, like 2 years ago, he was one of the front runners to battle with me for a championship. And no offense to Chad, but I wasn't worried. I mean, I'm just like, I know how talented he is, but the first couple races of the year, he was beating me in points. Like he had the first 2 good races, and I'm just like, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And over the course of a year, like I'm gonna work you, dude. But now I'm on his side and I can help him. And I think the sky's the limit for him, dude. Like what guy gets 18th and then literally the next week he still has the confidence to go out and win. Like
I know.
he is a unicorn. So, and he does get a stigma. But now like people just don't understand. He's a good person, dude.
He's a
like
great person.
he's a great guy. He likes to have fun, and not everybody's choices are the best. Like, but he's a good guy, and he gets a lot of shit from people, but he stays true to who he is. Like
he's not I don't think there's any hate in his body.
no, he's got a big heart. He just, you know, sometimes people just, it's like the partying thing and the going out, like it bothers people. But I think a lot of it's just spite or jealousy. I mean, let the guy do his thing.
I mean,
and I don't care if he goes out and has a couple of drink skis. Like, go ahead, bro. But put your work in, and he's been putting the work in.
Yeah.
So his fitness is pretty good. It's getting better, and I've raced with Chad, dude. He's good.
100%.
He's a good rider. So not many people have that level of talent. There might be only 8 or 10 guys that can match his talent. He's good. So I hope he does well. I want it for him. I don't want him to look back on his career and be like, man, I wish I did this, wish I did that. At the end of the day, if you put the effort in, you come up short, you're still happy with that effort. And that's for me. It was like, I just want to put that effort in. So, but yeah, it's that I'm excited for him. Like in the production twins class alone, there was a lot of guys who came through that class. Like that class got a lot of shit, but there's a lot of people that came through that class that were really good riders. And I don't think that's something that people realize too. Like Chad's good.
Yeah. Do you think Cory, you want to jump in here? Or do you think that the switch into one class is better, or like how do you feel about that? Because I mean, I feel like the production class was a great niche, right? I think some old dogs were in there to help new dogs come up and get there before they moved or whatever. I thought it was a great class. I didn't think, I know it pulls twins apart from other, but what is your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I think that class, I mean, obviously, maybe I'm biased, but I think it's underrated. Like, people talk about how good the singles guys are. It's the premier class, which I disagree, but they talk about how good those riders are. Dalton Gauthier, Dan Bromley, Colby Carlisle. They're all singles champions. They come up to the class, and I beat them.
The bear.
I beat them. But they want to talk about how I'm not good and how good the singles guys are. Those 3 guys were singles champions, and what you're saying is the hardest class. They come up and I beat them, like consistently. I beat them. So the class is harder than what you think. Like, and there's old heads that were like, "Oh, it's a joke." You know, I could come up and show up and smoke them because Cory's winning it. He's not that good. Then they show up. A couple of them showed up. I didn't see them. Like, you know what I mean? So, so with that being said, and it's I don't know what the answer is. I really don't, because I haven't had to sit down and think about it. It's not my job. I'm retired. I want the sport to grow, but I don't know. I'm sure I'm confident enough that I could figure something out that I think would work, but I think for where they're at right now, they had to try something. I think I don't think it's a bad move. I just think there's a lot of discrepancy with the bikes right now. Even the production bikes, you look at the Essenson bikes, they're not anything close to what I was riding last year. So they were trying so hard to beat the Indian. Now their bikes are just next level technology, and you know they were allowed to do so much. Where like my team, we were trying to win production races where you can't have TC, you can't twingle the bikes, you can't do all this stuff. So we weren't trying to be
Massive
Indians.
flywheels off the side.
Yeah, I mean, it's I would like to see everything production. Excuse me. I think twins, I think that would level the playing field right now. And but now it's like everybody has the bikes built.
But it's hard though. Like you take the manufacturer out that spent all this money doing all this thing. I mean, whoever's fault it is, it doesn't matter. I feel like AFT gets a lot of frack for at the end of the day. If they didn't have a series, none of us would make any money, and none of us we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
See, it's pretty hard to just bash them. And I feel like maybe on the last pod I kind of bashed them a little bit, but you know, at the end of the day, they do put on a good series, and it is a professional series. I think there's a lot of holes, but
Yeah. And there's a lot of things they do well. And, you know, I don't want to hammer them as well. But there are a lot of things they don't do well that they don't take accountability for. So I think there's things that they need to just like swallow some pride a little bit and like reach out to more people. And, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I want the sport to be good. I don't think we need 100 riders like we used to. And right now, the entries in Daytona, well, this pod's going to be dropped afterward, but the entries look better this year, but we'll see how that landscape looks throughout the year. But I would like to see production bikes. Like, give guys like me or guys building bikes in their garage a chance. And now it's like racing against the Essenson bikes. They're just not the same still. So I don't think some of the riders get a fair shot because of the equipment. Like, I really like Stock 1000 class. I really like Twins Cup. I think, you know, those classes...
Twins Cup is the most expensive class there is.
It's expensive, but, like, there's multiple brands, and you can readily buy the parts. Like, for some of these production bikes, and I'm going to say the Harley, dude. I don't think the Harley wasn't a legit production bike. I mean, I never used that as a cop-out for why I didn't do well, because our bikes were good too, but... I mean, the Harleys were allowed to do the flat track rules, the 800s to 900s to 700s. It's a hard thing to develop a rules package around, and we've just dropped the ball on like being successful with it. So I mean, I hope they figure it out. The singles class is cool. Like, just got to get the twins class. Just like when I'm just explaining the class, the twins,
It's
I'm
tough.
like, well, that bike's a 900 and it's got TC, and that's a 750, but it's got, you know, heavy wheels. Yeah. It's hard to explain that rules package.
What do you think the future for flat track is with Indian kind of backing out, Harley's backed out? Like, does that scare you for these kids you're working with now, like a little bit?
It's terrifying. I feel
like Cody. Where's...
Well, and I've talked about it in multiple interviews and things like that, but like, there's no incentive for these singles guys to move up to ride a twin. Like, there's 7 or 8 salary-based rides in the singles. There might be 2 or 3 in the twin. Like, what's the incentive for like a guy like Trent to move up and ride a twin? Because no offense, I don't see any singles guys moving up that are going to be top 5 on a twin right now. And if you're getting 6th in super twins, you're not making any money. Where like, if they're getting 40 grand salary, double contingency, they're making so much more money riding a single, getting 5th on a single than they would getting 5th on a super twin. So where's that incentive? There's no teams that are paying these kids to move up and ride their twin. So that's why they're staying in the singles. That's why I stayed in production twins. Like, it's making so much more money. At the end of the day, you gotta watch after your career and your family and make good decisions. And that's kind of what I help with Trent as well. Like, you know, it's like making good decisions. Like, they all want to race a twin. That's like that's what you want to do as a kid. You want to grow up. For me, it was an XR 750. Now it's, you know, they're not around anymore, but oh man, the age thing. But yeah, it's like you always want to go up and ride a twin, the premier class. And now it's like, dude, you got to make your money. You got to do what's best for you. And, you know, people are like, oh, you know, he's a Mushroom Cup production twins champion. I don't give a shit of what they think.
That's a Sammy Halbert thing.
Yeah, and it's I mean, he could ride production twins. Like, I mean,
He wants to get beat.
You gotta make, yeah, dude, I don't know.
The slammer.
Yeah, it's just, you gotta make good decisions as far as financial.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in 250 Supercross, when they moved up, they made way less money. I'm sure probably I don't know that scene too well, but Moto 3, Moto 2 as well. Like Christian Craig, he made bank last year probably running the Star bike, and now he's getting like 10th in the 450. I bet his paycheck's way less. I would think, but
yeah, I mean, I think their factory paychecks are probably a little bit more to move up,
Yeah.
you know, riding for a manufacturer, but
we don't have that.
That's the
Exactly.
thing. Yeah, you lose that.
There's
lose the
none.
money.
Well,
like,
Royal
and what do
Enfield.
like for
pays
me,
and-
it's like I don't know why I just look at Cody, because I think there's no, like right now there's no KTM to go to, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no, like he rides for factory Red Bull KTM. What are you gonna ride for? You know, like I hate to say it, but like Wally Brown, amazing team, this, that, and the other. One doesn't do a full season, but it isn't Red Bull
Factory,
factory KTM.
Yeah, I mean, so a cool thing about the Essenson team is they have a
pipeline.
a single and a twin, man. So if you sign with Essenson, you can move up to that twin. But shit, I don't know. I mean, JD's not retiring for another 30 years. Like, I don't think that guy will ever retire. And Dallas is young. So what are they gonna? They like that singles program, I think, at Essenson. So I think they're always gonna have young kids. But like, what are they gonna eventually have, like 6 guys on twins and 2
But
singles?
even for like Tim, I mean, I spoke to him. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I mean, I don't think he wants to just keep spending money forever. You know,
Well,
like at some level,
yeah.
something has to sustain somewhere. Like you
Right.
can't just, you just can't keep footing that bill.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tim and Jerry Stinchfield, like Roof Systems, Jerry,
Turner.
like Turner, like they're just guys that like racing and flat track. Once that dries out, you know, beside from Mission Foods doing what they're doing in the sport, it could get bad quick. So you just gotta have backup plans, guys, because if Jerry decides he wants to go boating or Tim wants to go to Hawaii more, you know, it's like, yo, like there's nothing left on the table then. So, I mean, the cool thing about Jerry and Tim and Turner, they're employing a lot of people. Like,
That's what's
I
scary.
think people forget about that. Part
That's
of
what's
it.
scary is, and I think a lot of people
Creating
don't
jobs.
take. I don't think they take it for. I think a lot of people take it for granted. Like, oh, just another year. Like, hey Jerry, I need whatever 25 grand.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people just expect it year after year after year to come.
yeah, and it's like,
Like
I said,
I don't think anybody really expected Indian to. I mean,
saw it coming, man. I mean,
you saw it, but like,
Yeah.
it wasn't very long ago where they were at their height, and there was
well, and
there
like,
was 6 guys making 100 grand.
they did what they wanted to do. They wanted to come in, kick ass, and they've proved everything they need to prove. They wanted to keep winning. Dude, they're on that Indian's restricted.
Dude,
it's
it's-
light wheel. It's a shell of what it's capable of, and it's still winning.
It's crazy.
So even if like, and I'm not taking anything away from Essenson, the guys, the riders, the bikes, but even if you would win on the bike, it still feels kind of asterisk. You know, like, I
Okay,
mean,
Jared.
I don't want JD or Dallas
All
to
right,
get mad
Mies.
at me, but I wanted to see them all because they're all so talented.
I'd love to see them all just on
I
one
want to
bike.
see them all on one bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Like
maybe,
that first year on the Indians was so cool because you couldn't really develop them.
well, it's the XR days. I
And it
mean,
was
it's-
like everybody was kind of on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Until Mies decided to build rocket ships and whatnot, which fair play.
Yeah.
That guy works hard, but it's like that year was so cool to see like there was like 10 guys that could win.
And I get where Jared's coming from and his frustration, and I get where JD and Dallas are and where they're at. I mean, they're great riders, and the bikes are so different. It's hard to see what makes sense. So just put them all on the same bike. Let them go to work. Like it's I mean, I'm a fan of the sport more than anything. I'm a rider, but I'm a big fan of the sport, man, and I just want to see the boys go out and have good races. Same with Breyer, man. Like Breyer is gonna be insane this year, and there's more dynamics with manufacturers, and yeah, it's I'm not racing, but it's gonna be really cool as a fan of the sport to watch this year. I just hope it goes well, and I hope the riders show up, and the series is good.
I've always thought it'd be kind of interesting in flat track because of the fact that it's more like a show, in the sense that you sit around it, and it's like if you can find a way to make it so the racing's always good,
Yeah.
like it would grow, right? So then it's like, okay, so why producing twins bikes for manufacturers doesn't sell bikes, like it doesn't move the needle on the market.
Yeah.
So why not just make a spec chassis or a spec motor?
Yeah.
Right. Get somebody to come in and supply it, so then they sponsor the whole field, but then have the guys go back to the garages, build frames, like
Yeah,
make
kind of
that
like
kind
the
of
Cal- is it
like
the
Moto
Calyx or
2.
what is it?
Moto
Yeah.
2, 100%
Calyx,
like
Scooter.
Moto 2.
Yeah, so I think that would work, and I think Jake Johnson said that on my pod. He brought that up, and it like blew people's mind. Like, oh wow, that might work. It's like
Yeah.
so.
I think people forget racing's entertainment too. Like,
Yeah.
like nobody gives a shit
Nobody
what bike you're riding. I
cares.
mean, obviously
Yeah.
people have their like brand favorites, but you could paint the bike any color.
Well, and the
people don't give a
manufacturers
shit.
are not jumping in.
Well,
No, exactly.
This is what I always say about BSB. I mean, it wasn't long ago where there was no manufacturer money. It was build base. It was Tyco. I mean, it wasn't even Tyco back in the day. It was Relentless. It was names. It was builders. It was like that 0 to 20 million, businesses
Yeah.
like those like types of things. And then now, because it got so popular and big, it's Tyco, BMW, which was Suzuki or whatever. And then it was build base, it's like they come back in when there's value.
Racing is confusing.
Very.
I think that's it's sometimes it doesn't make sense in different series what works, but everybody, oh, well, look at what this series does. It's so different.
100%. I mean, I think we're kind of getting on with it, but I definitely have a question. I need to there's so many people that have asked me, like, where does the bear come from?
The bear?
Is it like your Goggins? Like,
that hasn't been a thing always, has it?
No, fuck no.
That's like more recent because
It's
I don't
more
ever remember it.
no,
I think it was like 2020.
It's an ironic nickname. It was the singles year
Okay.
at OKC Mile. For some reason, like we were going out to the starting line, and I've never really had a. Well, that's a lie. Like we used to talk a little bit. Colby Carlisle, and then like for some reason when I moved to a single, he just like I don't know. We just didn't like each other. I mean, there's only a few guys I really don't get along with. And I'm like, I don't pretend to like him. And he was one guy that I didn't like at all. Like, thought he was like a whiner and just like, I don't know. It's not my person. And Bromley's another one that like, dude's always just whining. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's just always an excuse for whatever. But they're great riders. It's whatever. I mean, it's no surprise. But Colby at that OKC race, it was like, we're going out to the starting line, and like he just like cuts me off going to the starting line like intentionally. I'm like, the fuck you doing, dude? And then like I pull up to the starting line. I like looked at him like, what was that? He like looks over and he like starts revving his bike up, like punking me. I'm like, all right. So we do the race, and a lot of racers like they think they can do whatever they want to do, and like there's no repercussion. Like I walked to his pit. I want to have a conversation with you, dude. Like, and I don't think a lot of these kids think that it's going to happen. Like, I'm going to come in your pit. We're going to have a conversation. So anyway, it wasn't a huge deal. It's I walk over and I'm trying to talk to him like, yo, what's your deal? Like, we have a problem? Like, I mean, let's figure out what's going on. And then his like family jumped in and they try like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Kid's 19, 20 years old. He can't handle his own shit. So anyway, I walked away and
Cory's 32.
how old was I? I was like 29, 30, yeah. But if you're gonna like have that attitude, like better be willing to back it up off the track. So I went over and I just like was talking, blah blah, and I was getting mad because his dad and whoever it was, I mean, I don't even remember who it was exactly, but they were like yelling back. I'm like, this is stupid. So I walked away and I'm like, he said something cocky, and I was like, you poked the bear, dude. I was it's like all I had in my head at the time. And like as soon as I said it, I'm like, where did that come from? And then Hacker's my boy, Mike Hacker, he was working for Essenson at the time, and he lost it. He thought it was so funny. So it didn't really stick for like months. And then like it started to stick. Like I think like I like did bad at a race and Colby tweeted some shit like I guess the bear went into hibernation. And I'm like, dude. So then it started being like an ironic thing. I think I like started calling myself, or somebody called me and I like ran with it. So I started calling myself it. And I love how it just triggers people. Cause like, I don't think I really resemble a bear at all. Like, you know what I mean?
Teddy bear a little bit.
Yeah, like a panda bear. But like, it just triggers people. Like, so then Scotty picked up on it, the announcer, and I run the bear logo. I have like my own bear logo now. I run it on my helmets, and it's just an ironic nickname that I just think's more funny than anything. And
Dude, he's got custom the bear Converse.
Yeah, my wife got me those for Christmas.
Cody was trolling him a bit.
I'm like, relax, dude. My wife got me those for Christmas. So I honestly, I don't know why it's become a thing, but it's pretty funny. Like people like, oh, the bear, like they triggers them. It's like, so I just run with it. But no, I mean, it's no. So that was the Carlisle thing. No, I don't have any issues with them now. You know, but I think like honestly, like a lot of these kids, especially in flat track, they get all puffy like on the track, and they don't want to handle any, like they're not about that life when you get off the bike. Like if you're going to do something on the track, I'm going to walk to your pit and at least talk to you, dude. So he didn't want any parts of that conversation, but they want to say what they do on the track. It's like, you better be willing to, you know, handle your shit off the track, you know? So,
well, you got a hothead underneath your team. How are you going to handle that?
which one?
Chatty boy.
Chad, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
Is he a hothead?
Only
he's
a couple
better.
times.
Yeah,
I think he
mean,
had that Jesse incident or something, and somebody said something.
yeah, that
he
was
was sweating.
I think like I'm a lot different than I was 4 or 5 years ago. My temperament's a lot different. I'm still like if there's an issue, like I'm gonna we'll solve it.
Yeah.
But like I also feel like I can like tone her
Navigate.
down. Yeah, navigate through it. Like that's what I tell the kids, man. It's like, dude, you want more allies than enemies out there, and that's one thing. Like, don't stress about having friends out there because in flat track, it's Friendship Island out there now. Like, everybody's friends, and that dynamic, it's kind of annoying to an extent. Like, they all hate each other on race day, but then they're motoing together. Like, it's cool in some ways, but other ways, like, maybe that's like even with you, like, we were cool that year, but you're trying to take money off my plate, like. And with Chad too, like our dynamic was a little different. The only person I've been like really good friends with throughout like heated battles, like close, is Janish. I don't know why. Maybe because we're same age. He's like 2 years younger than me.
Old dogs.
But yeah, like it's hard to have boys and like still race them. It's hard. Like
Yeah, but I feel like Briar's different. Like we became like boys. You know, I'll say it. Like we're tight now, and I don't know why. Now, we're just kind of like same person, I think.
Yeah.
But dude, OKC, I didn't even. It's like he fucking. When I went by him, and when you see Briar, like obviously he was pretty crippled. Red Mile. Yeah, he was pretty crippled there, and dude, I saw a side of Briar. I roll in, and I'm third right now, like in the Super Twins. I got last the year before, and I just drove by fucking everybody, and he comes in, and he's like, "Hey, motherfucker!" And I was like, "I'm like, dude, we're boys." And I was like, I was fucking bummed, dude. I'm like, dude, like, I got last all last year, fucker. You fucking been running the series, and you're gonna call me a motherfucker?
Well, a lot of
I paid my dues,
dude. A
bitch.
lot of the boys were not. They were. It's nothing you did.
No,
you made a
I'm
good
like-
call. And dude, I was super annoyed. Like I pull out with you in practice. You pull off the corner. I can't even sit in your draft. I'm like, well, this sucks. And like I joked around with you. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to win a championship. I can't even draft you. And I'm still like, bike's fast, bro. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do? You made
But like, it could have easily been last, like SSN when they first showed up.
Yeah.
it just
But like the friendship thing is like, yeah, man, like I'm trying to like I respect all of my peers, even the guys I don't like, the guys I mentioned, like Carlisle and Bromley, like mad respect for their riding.
Same.
And we don't have to be boys off the track. Everybody has such different personalities, but like do your own shit. Like don't come up and like try to punk like if you're gonna like be a punk, then I'm gonna address it. That's what I do. Like I'm not one that's
Don't
gonna
poke the
just
bear, baby.
Don't poke the bear, like the panda bear. So I don't know, man. I mean it's whatever.
I think it's time.
Well, we got two more. This came up on the last one. Who's the real king of Timonium? You or Johnny Lewis?
Well, Johnny's never really raced Timonium that
He said
much.
he got the backwards lap record. I don't know.
He
It's
does. He does have the. that was. I remember that happening because we were me and Johnny were good friends at the time, and that was sick. It was fast, but
I mean 7-3.
I had. Nah, I don't know about 7.3. It might have been like 7.7, 7.8. But Johnny is talented, dude. That guy is. I hate racing with him now, but he is talented.
Yeah,
I'm a big Johnny Lewis fan, like over the years. But at Timonium, not trying to be arrogant, but that's my spot. So I think I'd be good there.
King.
I got it. Yeah, I guess give me a little
It's
crown
all
or
right.
something.
You could take it.
Yeah. I mean, is that something I want to put on the resume?
I don't know.
The King of
It's-
Timonium?
Dude, it's on.
The Pit Bike King?
I think so.
Pit Bike King? King of Timonium?
Yeah, I mean, I know. I've always seen you there, and you rolled there. I mean, I remember you at Flat Out, and you were good right out of the gate.
Concrete guy.
Yeah.
Practicing in your basement. I remember that.
Yeah, it's
You
funny
and
how
Cruz, dude.
Timonium. It's funny how serious people take that event.
You including.
Now I do, yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on, dude.
So the thing was, I only ever wanted to ride a pit bike there. I had no interest in riding a 450. And one day we were there, and I was just doing my pit bike thing, and John Henderson comes up, Nick's dad, and he goes, "All the real riders ride big bikes in here." I said, "Oh." I was like, "All right." So I went back the next night, grabbed my 450, and I've been riding it there think I've won like 7 years in a row. Like, I mean, maybe that is.
Ooh,
Maybe that king.
all right, Prince of Timonium.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, we're at 2 hours and 12 minutes. So we've been on
Yeah,
it.
we've been on it.
Chatty
Flies
boxes,
by.
huh?
Flies
All
by. We got one last one we ask everybody. You're on death row for doing some shit. Probably got arrested at Razzles with fucking Chatty boy. Locked up for good. I don't know why, but what's your last meal?
Is Chad on death row with me?
No.
Just me?
No,
Okay.
he framed you.
Guy. Death row. Well, that would suck. Wow, one meal.
That's it.
I'm not a big food guy. I just like my wife makes a really good pesto pasta with shrimp, and I love it. I mean, if it's just food I like, I just go buy it, get it. But she makes this pesto pasta with shrimp.
Like, this is it. This is your
Yeah,
last
no,
meal.
that's dude.
Okay.
It's good. It's really good. I'll have to get you a plate, but yeah, it's pesto pasta with shrimp that my wife makes, and get a drink too.
What?
Landy.
Land shark?
Land
Dude, you
shark.
definitely
Land
have a
shark,
land
Yeah,
shark.
yeah, land shark.
I actually got a couple in the cooler by side.
Okay, do you get refills for drinks on death row? You just get one.
No, we'll
could
get you
pound
a
case?
we'll get you a
Sixer?
six-pack.
Okay,
Yeah.
sixer.
We know you after 6, you'll be pretty
Oh,
slosh.
3. Dude, three of my face is numb. Like I can't drink beer for shit, dude.
It's Katy Perry.
I'll do
The weekend. Can't feel my face.
I can't, dude.
I thought that was Katy Perry.
No.
Oh my gosh.
All right, man. Well, it's been really great to have you. You have your own podcast. Where can people find that?
Just Tank Slappin Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud are the 3. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. This is fun, man. It's a good chat, and you guys are crushing it with this pod. It's so cool to have more of these going, and your setup is sick. And I'm looking forward to. I've watched the ones you guys have done so far, and they've been really, really cool. It kind of sucks in a way that it's on YouTube because now I want to watch the YouTube. So like the audio is like I can do that like way easier when I'm cycling or whatever. But now it's like when it's on YouTube, I'm like, well, I want to watch it. So now I'm just sitting there holding my phone watching on YouTube. But that part of what you guys are doing is really cool. And thanks for letting me share a little bit about my career that I haven't really talked about much. It's we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, man. I think it's. I think a lot of people don't know the stories, and I'm really pumped. I listen to your podcast. You do too many for me to stay up to date with them, but so no, I'm pumped. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you telling your story and getting us to the next one. So
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll have to
Appreciate
do it again. There's some more stuff too that
Oh,
we didn't
there's-
even get to, but
dude,
we
there's
could have went for another
tons.
2 hours. So
We'll do another one down the road.
yeah,
100%.
for sure.
all right,
Cool.
cheers.